Those on FS2, you joined us at the right time as we are moments away from horses going into the gate for our first of 5 graded stakes on this spectacular Saturday afternoon. I'm Maggie Wolfendale alongside champion jockey Richard Migliori, and we kick things off with the Grade 3 Vagrancy Handicap, 1 to 5 on Bella Sofia. Meg, does she get the job done?
I think so. I think the outside post and a nice work tab coming into this.
She'll be going out for Rudy Rodriguez. Heavy backing. Luis Saez aboard. We get it up to John Embrial, who has the call of this vagrancy.
Set for the start. And they're off in the Grade 3 Vagrancy. And there's Miss Brazil going out for the lead. Bella Sofia right alongside. The two of them heads apart here in the early going. Kept waiting, a little bit ranked there in the white blinkers on the outside. Frank's Rocket is alongside, and Assertive Style is fifth. Miss Brazil has the lead here by 3/4 of a length. The favorite, Bella Sofia, on the outside. The quarter win in 22 and 3/5 seconds. Miss Brazil by a neck. Bella Sofia on the outside in second. Kept waiting is third by a half length, with Frank's Rocket down at the rail. Another 2.5 to Assertive Style. Now Bella Sofia moves right alongside of Miss Brazil, and the two of them come to the top of the stretch together, with Kept Waiting on the extreme outside and Frank's Rocket looking for some racing room as they head for home now. Bella Sofia, Frank's Rocket comes on through the half in 45 and 3. It is Frank's Rocket on the inside and Bella Sofia on the outside. And now there's a furlong to the finish. Bella Sofia, Frank's Rocket. They're putting on a terrific stretch duel here in the vagrancy. Bella Sofia, Frank's Rocket, nothing between them as they come for the wire. And it is a photo finish, a head bob between Bella Sofia and Frank's Rocket. They completed the 6.5 furlongs in 1 minute, 16 seconds.
That was an amazing stretch we saw between Bella Sofia and Frank's Rocket. Richie, you said at the quarter pole, Frank's Rocket getting that dream trip. But would you say Bella Sofia outgamed her?
Boy, they just fought tooth and nail. This is as good a horse race as you're going to see. Neither one of this filly or mare wanted to lose. It is a head bob. It appeared. Oof. Wow, this is close. Man, I won't call that because it looked like the inside horse got the best of that bob, didn't she?
She did, didn't she? Wow, whoa! That's way closer than I thought. You're absolutely right. Frank's Rocket got all the head bob here, Richie. They are showing Bella Sofia on the screen, but I don't know. I would not be so quick to pass judgment.
Too close to call. And I think what throws people off a little bit sometimes is it looked like Luis Saez's body was in front of Flavien Prat's body.
Well, they put that up very quickly.
Wow, that's faster than I thought it would be. But even though you can see his body's in front of Flavien Prat's, look where the horse's noses are. And this filly got a real good bob on the inside.
Really good. And our camera angle, right when you're watching the pan, is just a tick behind the wire. The slow-mo is right on the wire, and it almost looks way closer than the pan shot.
Man, what an incredible horse race, and this was head bob. You know what was impressive, too, though? Frank's Rocket got that dream trip, which Flavien Prat seems to consistently deliver, and he's been a very welcome addition to the New York scene. But Bella Sofia dug in. When Luis Saez went down close to Frank's Rocket, you could see her pin her ears, and she did not want to get past it. I'm sure off the layoff, had to be getting a little bit tired, but wow, that was desperately close.
Yes, but she showed us last year that she is a warrior, Meg. I mean, that slow-mo looks really close. I'd love to see the photo. Hopefully we will get the photo for you. But walking into the winner's circle, Bella Sofia, your unofficial winner of the Grade 3 Vagrancy Handicap. It looks as though she makes her return to the races as a 4-year-old, a winning one.
That was a terrific horse race, and the 4-year-old giving 3 pounds to the 5-year-old Frank's Rocket, and wins by the barest of nostrils.
You would have to think she moves forward from that effort, though, and hopefully she has a big campaign in store. But in store for today's show, the Grade 1 Man of War, and we see quite a matchup between two chestnuts in here in Buffo and Yabir coming back to America. Now, this is his Breeders' Cup Turf win, Meg. He seems as though he's a horse, and he won both of his starts here in America, that American racing suits him.
Absolutely. I mean, he just seems to really enjoy it. He gets some pace to work with, and he's just got such a turn of foot. And here you see him under William Buick, who I think is one of the best riders in the world, switches to his proper lead mid-stretch. This is very difficult to do at Del Mar, to make up this much ground in a fairly short stretch, but he puts his head out and down, and he covers a lot of ground. And this was the other day on the turf course, Maggie. He was just out for a cruise. He looked like he was enjoying himself, looking around, and you'll see the rider ask him a little bit through the stretch, and I think he's a horse that's coming to this very happy.
I agree. I saw him jogging on the track this morning. I kind of passed him going the right way. He was out with his pony, and this guy, now he was a massive 3-year-old, mind you, but he has really filled out that frame and looks like such a happy horse too. And Charlie Appleby shipping him in here on Sunday, and he said that because he kind of gets to travel a little bit off the bridle in these American races where pace seems to go in front of him, that when you gather him up, he accelerates. That has not happened in his his last race at Newmarket and back in Maidan. Problem today, though, is the other speed scratched and long shot so high, so it kind of leaves Aban, a little bit free rein.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he should have it easy on the lead. Aban, I don't see anybody that can entertain him early. Gufo last time ran him down, but 48-3 is legitimate going a mile and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you. This is America's best racing race of the week, as Gufo, he's installed at 7-5, and his last race, which was his first start as a 5-year-old, was scintillating in the Grade 2 Pan American at Gulfstream Park.
Yeah, I mean, this was a nice way to return as a 5-year-old. He's a horse that at times always kind of seemed to me, he runs a little bit and stops and starts. Not a lot of continuity to his run, but I thought we saw continuity to his run here in his 5-year-old debut in the Pan American. You know, he traveled a bit more on the bridle. He had to angle out about 5 or 6 wide into the stretch. One thing about Joel Rosario, too, you want to talk about confident. I mean, hands and heels as much as possible before a last resort. He'll go to the crop, but even then, he'll use it minimally. I think he tapped it once underhanded, turned it over. This was a nice finish for him, and he seemed to show some maturation. Like maybe he did finally mature a little, and his light bulb finally went on completely.
I think so. What a handsome horse he is, too, striking that kind of deeper chestnut with the white face. And he out on the track, he knows he owns this place. Saw, too, him jogging this morning as well. So got my last peek in at these two guys. But we saw him run down Aban. How, and we're only dealing with, what, a 5-horse field here, Richie. How do these two overcome what decidedly may be a slow pace?
Well, their turn of foot.
Yep.
And when I talk about turn of foot, the acceleration or the finishing power of a horse, as much as I was impressed with Gufo's Pan American, I think Yabir has a better turn of foot. And if they're in close proximity, even with a slow pace, I believe he'll outfinish Gufo.
I agree with you, actually. As Bella Sofia returned to the racetrack in style, throwing it down with Frank's Rockette. There she is, being led in by co-owner Libby Imperio, and in the pink dress, that is actually Bella. Wow, that is a long nose, I'd say.
Yeah, it actually looked a little closer when we watched that one,
right,
but
the slow-mo.
That's still inches.
Yeah, a good battle with Frank's Rockette, who still puts on a show. She's racking up the seconds, but she does show up. As showing up in the winner's circle is Liza Hendricks, standing by with a special guest.
Thanks, Maggie, here with trainer and owner. Rudy, such a great race, 2 great fillies. Were you confident that she had gotten that head bob?
No. That was very, very tough to see it, but then I saw the replay and looked like we got it, but still, you know, he was like up and down, you know, so thank God we got the bubble this time, so good for us.
And she was coming in off of a bit of a layoff. Was she giving you the confidence that she was ready for this task?
You know, I thought at the beginning when we got the filly, we was kind of pushing him a little bit, but the last 3 works that she gave us, she just impressed me, galloped up very, very nice, and she's been a straightforward, and she put the weight together the way I want him, and one step at a time, and so far we got a step forward.
What will be next for her?
Got to talk to the owners and take it from there, but we probably keep it home.
Well, we have the owner right here. What's next?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank our trainer, our agent, Nick Salusto, who took care of her all winter down at his farm in Ocala, and he brought her back better than ever, bigger, stronger. A lot of people don't believe in long layoffs in the winter, but my husband and I always have, so thank you to Nick for that. We're going to point towards the race. I believe it's the 29th of July in Saratoga. So we're going to, in case she gets too rambunctious before that, then we'll check it out before.
Congratulations.
Thank you
guys,
so
such a
much.
Special filly.
Thank you.
Maggie, such a cool race
I
down
miss you,
here. She's up on the desk, but such a cool race down here. Two great fillies. Hopefully we'll get to see them rematch in Saratoga.
Liza, thank you. And hi, Libby. Congratulations as well. And Libby, obviously hinting at the honorable miss, which is the prep race, if you will, to the Grade 1 ballerina.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great segue, the honorable miss to the ballerina. And, boy, this was just a terrific horse race and a great way to start the day. Two horses throw it down like that, and, neither one wanted to lose, and they both ran too good to lose.
They really did. You kind of, you wonder about Frank's Rockette in, does she want to win? But she was she was sticking her nose out there. She was trying to. This is obviously her third, second, and runner-up placing in a stakes race.
She got a dream trip,
Sure.
but, Bella Sophia definitely kind of bore down when she got the challenge. You could see her pin her ears back, and that's something to look for when horses are running. When horses have their ears up, they're not giving 110%. They're idling a little bit. When their ears go flat back against their head and they kind of almost bare their teeth a little bit, they show that grit and determination. That was so evident here with Bella Sophia.
Well, we're happy to have her back in what may come up at Saratoga, too. But that was only the tip of the iceberg, as you won't also have to wait long for the next stake race. It comes up in race number 5 is the Grade 3 Run Happy, as we will see some pretty fast sprinters throwing it down 5-2 on Chateau. And it's kind of a very evenly matched field here, Richie. We will see officiating coming back up, who was our Tom Fool winner, and Rob Atcher's choosing to scratch Mr. Phil. And then later on, the Man of War, race number 8, Peter Pan, which is wide open. And then the Grade 3 Bogey, as Chad Brown looks to have a formidable duo in there. But coming up next, it is a starter allowance going 6 furlongs on the turf. And we see 8-5 on Miss Delicious, as she is coming in and cutting back for trainer Bob Claceris. Well, we, the people, as I mentioned, that wide open Peter Pan, well, he is one of 2 horses we'll see for Rudy Brissett. Got a little rambunctious going into the Arkansas Derby. We'll see if he can keep his cool, and we'll talk about more on America's Day at the Races after this.
Whether it's Division I or Grade 1, top athletes have certain traits in common. Speed, strength, class, versatility, and most of all, willpower. Claiborne Farms stallion, War of Will, was a Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf. Now, his first foals are taking the field.
Thanks for tuning in to America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well, as we'll take a look here at what could be the up-and-coming 3-year-olds in today's Grade 3 Peter Pan, traveling the one-turn mile and an eighth. And as I was saying before the break, Rudy Brissett will send out 2 in here. The shorter price of that duo, which includes Western River, is number 4, We the People. And he was a short price, Mig, going back to the Arkansas Derby, in which he lost his race before he went in the gate.
Yeah, he definitely, he even says it in the comment line, Washi, you were there, you saw it firsthand.
He became unhinged when the crowd, I mean, it was a massive crowd that day, and the paddock is so small there, and then it really blew his mind that he had to go into the infield, and then he just got so revved up on the track, and then he was headstrong with Flavien Prat going into the turn and ended up 5 wide, and that was just not the way to win races at Oaklawn.
No, so he lost his race before the start, and then he's chasing a fast-paced 5 wide. So you could put a line through that. Belmont Park, wide, expansive, much more sedate, not as big a crowd. The paddock's much more of a quiet, serene place. And then they get down to the backstretch over here. They go on the training track to go back to the gate. He should not get nearly as worked up as he did in Arkansas.
Yeah, it's going to be so much quieter, braking back there too. And we'll see what he does, though, and how they choose to use him today. Because in his first 2 races in which he looked so good, he was forward, but I do think he's going to have a little bit of tussle in the front. I don't think he's fast enough to get to the lead, probably off of Electability or the next horse we'll talk about. But Electability here, Mig, he has gutted out some performances. My problem with him is that, he was good, and he held off all challengers. I do think being on the inside here when push came to shove with this late closer, the track helped him.
Yeah, that was definitely at a time at Aqueduct when the inside portion of the track was a big help, almost a little bit of a conveyor belt, if you will. I do think he's kind of determined. He kind of pins his ears. You see, he wants to win. He doesn't want to get past. The horse on the outside hanging on his outside lead couldn't have helped his cause much. This is an acid test for Electability. We're going to find out, because this is definitely a big step up. We've got some lightly raced horses, but some horses that look like they have a lot of ability.
Yeah, my question mark, too, looking at him physically, I'm not exactly sure how far he wants to go. The son of Quality Road, Arad Ortiz, will take over riding him today. Chad Brown, obviously, looking forward to capping off or continuing the success that he had last week. And 5 Sheepshead Bays, 6 Fort Marcy's, 5 in a row, with L'Imperator pulling off the upset that day. But probably the most noteworthy of them all is Jack Christopher getting back to the races, sidelined as a late 2-year-old, showing so much promise then, and came back to dominate the Pat Day Mile.
Over that weekend, it just seemed like every time you turned around at one track or another, a Chad Brown trainee was going to the winner's circle in a stakes race. Yeah. And I always say 5 Sheepshead Bays, like 5 Sheepshead Bays, 4 Modesties, 1 Jack Christopher.
Wow, you pulled that one out of the hat. Bravo. Yeah. It's not even Christmas time, and it's not even Christmas in July.
But it just seems like the statistics and the data that piles up with Chad Brown runners. I mean, he's been training since 2007. His first winner in November of 2007. And over 2,100 wins and just multiple graded stakes, multiple grade ones. First ballot Hall of Famer, slam dunk.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing it at the highest level for the longest time, too, for the expanse of his career, which in relative terms is a short one, but not having such a short career. A Hall of Famer sends one out on the inside. That's number 1, Set Sail. Richard Mandella, and there's been a Richard Mandella sighting here at Belmont Park with this horse, Set Sail, who utterly destroyed a field of maiden special weights going 2 turns for the first time.
I mean, he was very impressive. Not sure what he was beating, but super impressive. And the fact that Richard Mandella ships this horse to Belmont, Richard's not a guy that does that a lot. He has to have a lot of confidence in the horse. Look at the old school work tab, 7/8 at 25, 5/8 and 59. Richard Mandella is a great horseman, a Hall of Famer. I actually saw him get on a horse himself one day when I was out there riding. The horse was giving the rider a hard time and came back to the barn. The horse had his manners. And one of the joys of my career was getting to win a grade 1 for him out in California. fantastic horseman.
He seems to be someone who really gets inside the horses' minds as well.
There's no cookie cutter operation there. Every horse has a program tailored to that particular horse, and it was a pleasure to watch him work and to see that horsemanship firsthand. And great sense of humor, too. Very dry, quiet wit. I rode a horse from off a layoff, and the horse finished third. And I said, he got a little bit tired. And he looked at me, he said, "Are you saying I ran a short horse?" And I said, "I would never say that to your face." And he laughed. He thought that was hysterical. So
That's great.
Yeah.
It's always good when a trainer can keep his sense of humor, as this is just kind of kicking off or pushing into the Belmont Stakes, which is obviously the third leg of the Triple Crown. But the Peter Pan is the local prep for that third jewel. Back 2014, we saw Tonalist win the Peter Pan and go on to win the Belmont Stakes. And then it runs into the Curlin Stakes, which is a restricted stakes, the day before the Jim Dandy, which is the traditional prep to the Run Happy Grade 1 Travers.
yeah, and it's just a terrific series of races, comprehensive series of races, and culminated with the Midsummer Derby, the Run Happy Travers.
Yeah, and we do also see the Grade 3 Dwyer at a mile on July 2nd, which is Stars and Stripes Festival Day.
Yeah, Dwyer's always been a good race, too. Man
Has
of
been.
War won by a length, but he got tested by John P. Greer many years ago, speaking of the Man of War Stakes.
Your history knowledge is sick. I mean, it just pales in comparison
No,
to
I just-
anything I can do.
It's just what I read about.
Or I know in comparison. Yeah. Anyway, we see horses making their way to the track for this starter allowance. Obviously, take out the MTOs in here, and Miss Delicious 9 to 5. Richie, 9 to 5 on a horse that's never sprinted.
That's never sprinted and gets it a turf sprint. That's not a lot of speed for a turf sprint.
So are they going to send her, do you think?
Is she even fast enough coming out of longer races? Listen, Bob Caceres does a great job. He's a horseman I have a lot of respect for. And, you know, here she is winning. That was going a mile and 16th at Gulfstream. It's a completely different game sprinting on the turf at Belmont Park.
Completely. Turf configuration to boot. As the one who may provide the speed is the inside runner, this might be the one.
Yeah, and she actually showed a little bit of a rating tack last time, but it was a very fast pace. And she looks like a filly that's kind of finally put it all together and figured the game out. Looks like she minds her manners a lot better than she used to.
Could be one, though, facing tougher here. She faces winners for the first time. Missing Link, she's not slow either for Peter Walder.
I thought maybe she could, play out to be the speed if this might be the one chooses to rate in behind her. She seems consistently to be very forward.
Number 6, You Should Be Dancing, the New York bred by War Dancer.
Yeah, more of a closing sprinter. Took her 15 tries to break her maiden. Very hard to take that step from maiden races and win right back against winners.
Coming off the layoff is number 7, Happy Hill Lil.
Yeah, more of a closing type, too. Gets Joel Rosario, who is probably the best turf sprint rider in the game.
Yeah, that is true. He is the best closer, too, I think. Not that he can't put one on the lead, but you want him closing in those sprint races. Here's your favorite, number 8, Miss Delicious.
Well, again, she can win. It's just hard to take Orsa as a favorite doing something they've never done before. And, this is an interesting move, to say the least.
Number 10 is Stella Mars. She comes, out of the Missing Link race back on April 16th.
Yeah, and she was coming off the bench, so maybe she'll be a little bit better for that effort and a little bit fitter. Gets Dylan Davis, who's been riding lights out.
He is. Meets leading rider by, I believe, 3 at the moment. As number 11, Mandy Green. She's another turn back here for trainer Mark Hennig.
Another turn back and hasn't run nearly as fast as Miss Delicious. So you understand why Miss Delicious is taking that kind of money. Mandy Green turning back and would have to get faster anyway.
Now, what's wrong with number 12, Freedom of the Press? I mean, she is 4-1 up there, but doesn't she feel like the most confirmed and possibly talented turf sprinter that we have? Because outside of the comeback race in which she actually reported to us here that she acted up in the holding barn. She kind of lost her race back there, so hence the dull performance off the bench. But go back to her first race off the claim for Linda Rice, and then her last race makes her a major player. Now, she is going out for lower profile connections now, but gets Luis Saez aboard.
Gets Luis Saez, gets an outside post, and I think you make a very good point. The one bad race sprinting on the turf, it wasn't even that bad. I mean, she got beat 6 lengths. There was an excuse.
Exactly. The other two, they were wins. But Miss Delicious holding firm as your 9-5 favorite with Bob Caceres or Rod Ortiz in the irons. We'll see if she can turf sprint after this break on America's Day at the Races.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe. And his offspring are lighting up the sales ring. With his biggest and best quality of books in the pipeline, the sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
The ultimate accolade for a racehorse is to be named Horse of the Year. To be enshrined to the Hall of Fame is to achieve immortality. As a stallion, genetic immortality is defined in 2 words: breed shaper, plain and simple. 2-time Horse of the Year and Hall of Fame inductee, Curlin, is just that. Breed shaper, Curlin, the classic sire.
Monmouth Park's 50-cent Win Early Pick 5 is one of the country's earliest Pick 5s, making it the perfect way to get your wagering day started. With a 12:15 post on weekends and 2 p.m. start on Fridays, the Win Early Pick 5 is home to 6-figure pools and a low 15% takeout. Start your day winning early. Play Monmouth Park's Win Early Pick 5. Win early, win often.
Welcome back. Thanks for spending your Saturday with us on America's Day at the Races. If you want to follow along with all the action, make sure you download your free Equibase PPs. Visit NYRA.com/TV schedule to download them today. Race number 4. It's next thing on tap here as we see a fairly heavy favorite on your screen here, which is trying something for the first time. And I don't know about you, Meg. I learned the lesson, never bet a horse at a short price doing something that they've never done before. And we'll see if Jonathan Kinchin agrees here. As JK, we welcome you into the show. Do you like Miss Delicious here? I'm a little bit leery of her.
I don't like her from a win standpoint. I think she's live in here. I think from a multi-race standpoint, there's, depending on your other opinions surrounding, maybe she's one you'd want to include. But I do think she's a little bit overbet for, like you mentioned, a horse trying something for the first time. I don't typically like cutbacks in turf sprints. However, going 6 at Belmont or 7 at Belmont, it seems to be a little bit more friendly. Typically around the country, you're going to see 5, 5.5 up at Saratoga. You'll see 5.5 for the distances of these turf sprints. I think the 6 allows a horse like Miss Delicious to at least have a little bit of an opportunity. She will need some pace to close into. Like I said, if you're playing this kind of middle pick 5 in here and you have some other opinions that you don't want to allow this horse to beat you, you might want to include. But I do think there's more value if you're trying to, to pick that value up here. I think the 10 Stella Mars makes a lot of sense. She didn't run great last time. She had a little bit of a trip in there. It was first time off of a little bit of a break, hadn't run since November, but she does have back numbers that suggest that she can run faster than she did last time. I'm just hoping that she can kind of find some of that past form. I thought this was a really tough race. I do think the 10 Stella Mars is the horse that I feel the most comfortable from the win standpoint, but trackside, maybe Liza can help us nail this one down.
Jonathan, I'm going to have to back you with the 10 Stella Mars. She's a filly who tends to get a bit washy and keyed up in the paddock, but I was speaking to her trainer, and he was saying that she looked great today and was discussing with the owners how much more settled she is, and it's so much of an advantage to her to run at Belmont Park, where she can run out of her stall and not have to ship somewhere and get that nervous energy going. So it really helps her to be here at Belmont and just walk over and head straight to the races. So I'll be expecting a big run out of her.
I don't know about you, Meg, but isn't JKA a week later early with that shirt?
Never surprises me. Nothing surprised me with JK.
Got the Black Eyed Susan shirt on, gearing up, getting everybody hyped for the 3rd Saturday
I actually
in
have
May.
my Black Eyed Susan tie for tomorrow, so I'm a little early too.
See, guys, come on. You got to coordinate your fashion with what race it is. They are heading in the gate. Who'd you go with here?
Wound up going to the outside. You made too compelling of a case, and I'm not going against my co-host.
I don't know about that, handicapping science, but
I think she'll be close from the outside in a
I
race
think so
that I
too.
just don't think has a tremendous amount of pace.
yep, that's the way I saw it. In the gate goes Freedom of the Press, and we go up to John and Brielle.
Set for the start. And they're off. Freedom of the Press from the extreme outside. Missing Link now moves up. And this might be the one, is down at the rail, a close-up third. Happy Hill Lil is next in 4th. And then it's 2.5 lengths. Back to You Should Be Dancing alongside is Mandy Green. At the back of the pack, Miss Delicious, the favorite, is at the back along with Stella Mars. Up front, Missing Link leads here by a length and a half. With Freedom of the Press on the outside, running in second, the quarter 21 and 4. This might be the one, runs in third. Then Happy Hill Lil next in 4th, gap of 2. You Should Be Dancing. And on the outside is Mandy Green. Then comes Stella Mars and Miss Delicious, still with a lot to do as they turn into the stretch. It is Missing Link and Freedom of the Press. Missing Link narrowly. Freedom of the Press on the outside. This might be the one, looking to squeeze in between those two. Here comes This Might Be the One to take over the lead. Happy Hill Lil is on the move on the outside. And a late move from You Should Be Dancing. Happy Hill Lil with the lead as they come for the finish. Happy Hill Lil the winner by a long neck. This Might Be the One was second. You Should Be Dancing finished third.
Meg, you know I always believe it's horse racing, not jockey racing. But in these turf sprints, it never hurts just to go with Joel Rosario.
Joel Rosario is just so good at producing horses at that proper moment. And honestly, we have to say, the first 2 horses, the 7 Happy Hill Lil and the runner-up, the one, This Might Be the One, got terrific rides. I mean, Trevor McCarthy saved every inch of ground, was able to squeeze in between horses, and then here comes that strong finishing Joel Rosario on the outside.
But what I liked about Joel is Happy Hill Lil, going back to last year, was a bit more of a deep closer, but you look 3 back to that race here at Belmont. She sat third the whole way. She won. That's what he did today.
Yeah, absolutely. But he gets horses to run into his hands, and they use themselves so efficiently. And that's something that, people got to take into account. When horses are balanced, they're able to do things easily because they're balanced. They're not, off stride or discombobulated. And you can see he builds a horse into a rhythm. It's like a crescendo. It builds it up, builds it up, builds it up until that final surge. And gets it done here. This might be the one. I do think she's figured out. Got a terrific ride, like I said, from Trevor. But Joel Rosario in turf sprints always elevate his horses a bit. And congratulations to Gary Siaka. Good job to have her ready off the bench.
Yeah, she looks ready out there watching her little red boarding on my behalf. But huge prices, 8-1 over 16 over 15-1 as it is 7-1-6 unofficially here in the 4th race at beautiful Belmont Park. And this does kick off the mandatory Pick 5 payout. So it's looking pretty juicy as of now. Big official prices, though, and reactions on the other side of this break as we continue on here. And we'll check in. JK gave me the perfect segue. We're talking Preakness after this break.
Start spreading the news. If you're looking to win in New York, then breed in New York. To War Dancer, the millionaire son of Warfront, and New York's #1 sire of 3-year-olds. Breed to a proven performer, the #1 second crop sire at the Saratoga meet with multiple winners at Belmont and Aqueduct. Earn double the New York Breeders' Awards and participate in the New York Stallion Series with $2 million in purses. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York. Visit wardancerstud.com.
Cloud Computing has moved into second. Always Dreaming has dropped back through the field. They're coming into the final furlong. Classic Empire. Here's Cloud Computing going for the upset. Classic Empire digs in. Cloud Computing draws alongside. They come to the finish together. Noses apart. Cloud Computing has defeated Classic Empire and the Preakness.
The first, could it be just a prelude of what's to come for Chad Brown and Klarvik Stable? Back in 2017, Cloud Computing coming into the Preakness with only 3 starts. He got the job done over a game rival in Always Dreaming.
Yeah, I mean, it's eerily similar to early voting this year. Both making their 4th start of the Preakness, both coming out of good efforts in the Wood Memorial. Cloud Computing was 3rd in that Wood Memorial. Early voting 2nd in the Wood Memorial. And the only difference is early voting possesses a bit more early speed.
And 2, you know, Cloud Computing hadn't won a stake or a race other than his maiden first time out, and at least early voting has won a graded stake in the Withers. And I mean, I don't want to throw any shade on Irish Warcry, but the argument could be made that early voting finished a narrow second to a better horse in Mo Donegal.
Oh, absolutely. And Mo Donegal, if you look at Mo Donegal's trip and really look at individual trips in the Derby, he was back there with the winner, Rich Strike. He went about 9 or 10 wide when Rich Strike got to zigzag through traffic like a broken field runner, and he was only beaten, you know, less than 4 lengths. I think 3 3/4 lengths. If you switch trips, you could make the case Mo Donegal gets up in the Kentucky Derby. So he ran a very credible race in the Derby, proving that Wood Memorial was legit. And like you said, early voting's already won the Withers, where Cloud Computing was 2nd in the Gotham, 3rd in the Wood before going on to win the Preakness.
Yeah, we'll see. He does seem to be training really well heading into the Preakness Stakes. Here is his last work on Thursday. He is with stakes winner, an older horse, Miles D. Now, he went right up along Miles D in here, Richie. And is that Jose Ortiz in the irons? Yes,
yeah,
it
Jose
is.
Ortiz
I thought
on
so.
it.
He's got a new helmet. He threw me off for a second.
Yeah, it's a little different, right?
Yeah.
I will say this. He's always going well, and he's listening to Jose Ortiz's cues. He's not rank. so we know he possesses speed. I'm of the belief that if someone really wants to go, he doesn't need the lead. And I think this work kind of points that out.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we're going to see Jose shake the reins at him here, and he's going to accelerate away from Miles Tate, who isn't being restrained by any means. And, I mean, I clocked it. It's a tight shot here. I got it in 12 and 4 for that 8th beyond the wire.
And it looked like he lengthened his stride. He kicked on, his ears up, and he's enjoying himself. Now, I was right by the gap when he came off yesterday, and I walked on the horse path back behind him back to the barn. He couldn't have blown out a match. He was as good as hands can make him. He just enjoyed himself. That's what you want from workouts. You don't want to get to the bottom of them. You want to use it to kind of continue to build them up.
I liked what I saw here, and I like the fact of what you mentioned, that I think he is a horse that is learning to be more rateable and malleable in the rider's hands.
I think
it's gonna be a feather in his cap.
Packing a lot of racing in a short amount of time and stepping up in class on tracks that were speed favoring kind of dictated they use that natural speed. I think he's a horse that could stalk and be very comfortable.
Yeah, we'll see. There could be a little bit more speed than anticipating, as Armagnac, coming in off of a allowance win, is one that has some early speed too. And it's not like Epicenter's that slow either, finishing second in this year's Derby.
No, and he showed even more of a rating tack. He rated some in Louisiana Derby, but got that blistering pace where he was even further back in the Derby. It's very, very interesting Preakness coming up. And we don't have the Derby winner in the Preakness, but I think you've got a lot of horses that are taking steps forward at the right time.
And we'll see if Chad Brown can get his second classic win in this year's Preakness Stakes. Back here at Belmont Park, we saw Happy Hill Lil in off the layoff. Joel Rosario, your reigning Eclipse Award-winning champion jockey for Gary Siaka. And we saw Joel keeping her prominent throughout the running and produced her at the right time.
Yeah, he was right there, playing fourth pretty much the whole way to the outside. He eased her out in the clear while Trevor McCarthy found the split, tight spot, but he came in between horses and looked like he was on his way to victory with the one. This might be the one, but here comes Happy Hill Lil down the center of the course. Joel Rosario just so good at producing horses at the right moment, particularly in turf sprints.
We saw This Might Be the One, a long shot, as well as You Should Be Dancing, rounding out the trifecta, and a pretty juicy way to kick off this mandatory pick 5. But coming up next, it's a shorter field, but it's a good one. It's the Grade 3 Run Happy 6 furlongs for the older colts and geldings. We, as anticipated, see a pretty wide open board right now. Interestingly enough, early on in the wagering, drafted the current favorite. He's a deep closer, Meg.
He's a deep closer, and a lot depends on if Repo Rocks breaks cleanly or not. That's been, something that's been a problem for him. When he breaks clean, he's forward. But he doesn't always leave the gate on time, and if he doesn't leave the gate on time, that hurts drafted, and it certainly helps Chateau.
Repo Rocks.
Repo Rocks? What did I say, Repo Rocks?
Yeah, Reposado.
Ah, okay.
You're not the first one.
I was thinking repossession. You see where my mind's at.
You see where my mind's at? I'm talking about tequila over here. Anyway.
Repo, I won't forget.
That will do it for me up here on the desk. Heading back to my home, the paddock, as Richie will be sticking on board and Greg Wolf will be joining him here up on the set. Meg, as always, I thoroughly enjoyed my time up here with you.
Too short, but it was great.
Well, Run Happy, he was the champion sprinter, Breeders' Cup winner, and he now stands at Claiborne Farm. We'll learn a little bit more about James McIngvale's star, Run Happy, a little bit after this break here on America's Day at the Races. I think that's him winning up at Saratoga. Stay tuned, more on Run Happy next.
Following C, pouring it on here in the stretch. Impressive to win the Grade 2 Vosburg. Following C,
Mile Happy has kicked it into high gear, and Mile Happy, with a powerful performance, wins by 2.5.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How does horse racing support New York's economy? It's responsible for 19,000 jobs and more than $3 billion in annual statewide economic impact. These good-paying jobs support working families across the state and sustain thousands of small businesses both on and off the track. Horse racing in New York means jobs and opportunities now and in the future. We are New York horse racing.
They say breed the best of the best and hope for the best.
Vekoma broke well on the outside.
But you don't expect to get speed like this.
Is Vekoma the one to catch? Vekoma has a 5-length lead in this Grade 1 quarter. Vekoma continues to battle on down at the rail. It is Vekoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Run Happy was going to be the last horse I ever owned, and I was getting out of the business. I had so many disappointments and heartbreaks and lost so much money at it, and then came Run Happy. So I guess the lesson there is persistence, never give up.
His performance in the Breeders' Cup Sprint was one that people will talk about for years to come. I mean, it was another, yet again, freaky performance, set the track record. The way he did it was pretty incredible.
He won at Keeneland, he won at Saratoga.
Run Happy!
He won at Santa Anita, he won at several of the legendary places in horse racing.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
What a great horse, what a great thrill it was to be around Run Happy and now to follow his stud career. We couldn't be prouder to have Run Happy and have him stand at Claiborne Farms. That is myself and my daughter's happy place. We love Claiborne Farms, and Run Happy loves being there.
We put him in stall number 1 for a reason. We have a lot of confidence in this horse. We think he has all the capabilities and characteristics that you kind of look for in a great stallion. You know, he had the speed, he had the form, he had the freaky talent, the athleticism, and he's really throwing it in his foals. And we're over the moon with what we've seen. We feel like we're in a great spot, and now it's up to the offspring to prove it.
We continue with live action with the Grade 3 Run Happy coming up next. Of course, our program brought to you in part by that one-of-a-kind sprinter. He was so much fun to watch on the racetrack. Never lost in his career while sprinting. Special horse who now stands in legendary stall number 1 at Claiborne Farm. Grade 1 Malibu winner. Of course, that Breeders' Cup Sprint win. King's Bishop, where somehow he escaped at 11-1 in that race. Good to be with you. Greg Wolf joining Richard Migliori here, and we have that Grade 3 Run Happy coming up next. And this field looks like almost anybody can win this race coming up.
Yeah, it's a pretty wide open affair, and a lot has to do with how the race will be run. Chateau looks like the main speed from the inside, but Repo Rocks, when he breaks cleanly, has been showing high pace. It's a matter of if he breaks clean. Ran last time, first time for Greg DePrima, ran maybe the best race of his life so far.
Right now it's Chateau who's favored from that inside post, 5-2. Co-favorite with Drafted, who has that just out of this world toboggan from a couple of starts back. He hadn't won in about 36 months. Didn't follow it up in the Carter, but still makes him dangerous. This horse, though, favored. Jose Ortiz for David Duggan. Let's head downstairs to Liza Hendricks for more.
Thanks, Greg. The number 2 Drafted, such a flashy gray gelding. He's such a hard-knocking gelding as well. He was finally able to get his first win in the U.S., 2 back in the toboggan, and then faced tougher company in the Grade 1 Carter last out and wasn't quite able to get there. He cuts back here to 6 furlongs, and I wonder if that may be a bit short for him. But he looks great here in the paddock. As I said, just such a flashy gelding, and really transitioning well over to America from Dubai and kind of finding his ground here recently. The Repo Rocks just to his outside, the number 3. Looks great in the paddock as well. He's kind of on his toes, looks alert and looks ready to go. He caught my eye as soon as he walked into the paddock. Just has a great coat, great flesh on him, and well muscled, and looks ready for the start here today. Greg.
Yeah, what an appearance from this horse right here. Riders up. There's Ruben Silvera about to hop aboard Repo Rocks, who is a two-time winner, I should say, here at Belmont in 5 starts. And this is a look at the toboggan. And this was this just out-of-this-world performance from Drafted that we hadn't seen from this horse probably ever, but certainly even in the winner's circle in a long, long time.
It was interesting. Jose Ortiz, first time riding him that day, really kind of kicked him into gear into the far turn. Made really essentially what was a middle move, but this horse was able to continue and draw away powerfully. Dave Duggan does a terrific job. Last time he was completely up against it in the card, or a horse like Speaker's Corner getting to go 23.46. That's slow, a slow pace for horses of that caliber, grade 1 caliber, and Drafted just had no chance to close into that tepid pace.
And look, I mean, he was facing a horse who might be the best miler in the country in that group. Reinvestment Risk, he came back and ran extremely good, too, against Jackie's Warrior.
Yep.
Different group he's got to deal with here.
Yeah, I don't think the race is as tough. Again, the key to the race for Drafted is what happens. Chateau's going to go to the lead. That's his style, and he usually breaks very well. Repo Rocks, he broke well last time, even though it was a bit of a stumbling beginning. At least he left the field with the other horses.
Which was huge for him.
Yeah, because a lot of times he waits till everybody else leaves the gate, and then he jumps out. And that'll definitely have an effect on how this race is run from a pace standpoint, and Drafted would like to see some pace up front.
Got a lot of races on this card, several graded stakes races still to come, including the Grade 1 Man of War. So we have several wagers throughout the program, including a middle pick 4 that begins in this race coming up. There's the always smiling Kendrick Carmouche. He is on the speedster Chateau, drawn inside to take advantage of that speed.
Speed from the inside with Kendrick Carmouche, it's pretty simple. He's got one way to go. He's going to take them as far as he can on the lead.
Can Drafted re-find that toboggan race from 2 back at Aqueduct in the mud?
Well, that race certainly will put him right in the frame. He just needs a little help up front. Looks fantastic. Dave Duggan does a terrific job.
Repo Rocks, was it a one-off, or are those gate troubles getting out behind him?
Well, that was his first start for Greg DePrima. He's been stabled here at Belmont. He's got a good work over the training track. Actually, that was before the last race, excuse me. But if he breaks clean, he's going to be forward.
Answer in. He owns, among some of his other victories, a win over the eventual Breeders' Cup Sprint winner.
Yeah, and Answer In has run some fast races. He kind of threw in a subpar performance last time, but there was moisture in the track that day. Not the problem today.
And favoritism shifting outside officiating now. The favorite for Saffie Joseph Jr. with Manny Franco.
Well, officiating was very good, too, back in the Tom Fool. Then he shipped back to Florida, ran at Tampa Bay. Now he gets back to New York, so a lot of shipping around for him, but he's well drawn outside and should be in a stalking position.
Approaching the 6-minute mark to post in this Grade 3 Run Happy. You can play all the action today with Naira Bets. Bet Belmont Park's great stakes action. You get a $40 bonus whether you win or lose. Go to NairaBets.com for details on the bonus and all the Naira Bets promotions. Don't forget to take advantage of it. You're going to have to opt in as well.
Hey, we started the day with a really nice run in the Vagrancy. What a race between Frax Fraquette and
Bella Sophia.
Bella Sophia. I mean, that's as good a horse race you're going to see. So that kind of has set the table for what we're looking at going forward. Just great stakes action today here at Belmont Park.
Yeah, Bella Sophia narrowly getting the win there. It was a narrow margin. Did you think it was that close, though? Did you ever think that she was in danger of losing?
Well, you know, I honestly thought the inside filly got the best of the bob. And, and it's about where their noses are. You saw Luis Saez's body in front of Flavien Prat's body, but that doesn't matter. It's where the horse's nose are on the wire. But Bella Sophia bore down, and she should improve off of that effort.
No question. That was the 4-year-old debut. She showed so much talent last year. Grade 1 test winner. Right now, it's the boys' turn in this Grade 3 Run Happy. Answer In, 5-1 right now. Second start here at Belmont with more on the 4-horse. Let's go to Liza.
Thanks, Greg. Yes, here with trainer Rob Falcone, trainer of the number 4 Answer In. And Rob, you claimed him back in December. What made you want to add him to your stable?
He had some good back class. He's a good-looking horse. Brad's horses always look good, but he looked good when we went to go look at him in the paddock, and he had some back numbers, and even that day he ran a good numbers. So we figured we'd take a shot, and got lucky and won the shake.
And then stepped him up to Stakes Company. What gave you that confidence?
He's training real good. He ran a real good race in the 3X when Rudy beat us back at Aqueduct, and he threw a little clunker in the Claiming Crown. I was a little disappointed, but it was a weird track that day. They sealed, a fast racetrack, and it was just a lot of horses, it seemed like, didn't run their race that day. So he came out of that race good, exited it well, and been training really good and forward on the Bravado, so we figured we'd take a shot.
And kind of an open race here today with the speed and the pace. What will be the tactics today?
I left up to Flavian, try not to give too many instructions. They know what they're doing. Everyone, all the jocks want to win. So I left up to him, and hopefully, for us, our sake, hopefully his speed do kind of erupts a little bit and he could set the trip and, tip out and run him down late.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Greg, this might be the season of claiming horses stepping up to Stakes Company.
We'll see if this one can get it done. Yeah, claimed for $40,000 at the end of last year. Big chance here to make some noise. 4 minutes to post in this grade 3 Run Happy. Let's bring in Jonathan Kinch and JK. How are you going to play this sprint?
Yeah, I'm going to try to beat Chateau. I love horses that go to the front. I love speed horses. But I had Kendrick Carmouche on my podcast, JK+1, and we talked about this horse specifically. And he said that Chateau doesn't necessarily, his weapon is not utilized as well at Belmont. The big sweeping turns don't really do him any favors. You watch all of Chateau's past races at Aqueduct or other racetracks with tighter turns. He really loves the turns. He opens up on those turns. He kind of loses that edge at Belmont. He's 0 for 4 at Belmont. Now, Chateau could get loose here, and it might not matter because it's not the toughest group that he's faced. But I do think at a short price, I think there's some other horses that might offer a little bit more value. The 2 Drafted is a horse that was closing into a slow pace last time. One of my favorite angles. It's usually better on turf, but it still applies on dirt. That April 9th race, the pace was not quick. This horse came from far back and just couldn't make up any ground. I think this horse will run better second off of a break and with real pace to close into that I would imagine we're going to get from the 1 Chateau. And then the 3 Repo Rocks. This is another horse that he's really run some big numbers, and has done it for different trainers as well. So I expect him to run well this time. He ran extremely fast last time, and I like the price on the board at 5-2. I'd imagine that Chateau will likely go off favored, and the other prices on the 2 and the 3 should jump up just a little bit here. I'm going to go with the 3, but I do think the 2 is also live.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. I mean, this horse has just continued to impress from an appearance standpoint on the racetrack. We'll see if they can run to his looks here, but he's coming off a figure 2. Best of his career last time out when he made that switch to a new barn.
Yeah, listen, Greg DePrima does really good work, and he's one of the trainers that flies under the radar, doesn't have a lot of horses, but when he has a horse with ability, he delivers, and this horse is a credit to his horsemanship. Look how good he looks on the racetrack.
It's incredible. He looks like he is ready to run his A race. We'll find out if he does for Greg DePrima, already winning, debuting in that barn last time out. Meanwhile, this horse here officiating, it's going back and forth. He was the favorite just a moment ago. He's beat basically this group of 4. He did it in the grade 3, Tom Fool. That was at Aqueduct back on March 5th. He beat Chateau. He beat Repo Rocks. And he beat him pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I mean, he drew off and won off by better than 5 lengths with Manny Franco, who gets back on board today. Then he shipped back south, ran at Tampa Bay Downs, which can be a tricky surface. Some horses don't handle that surface. Plus, it was 3 weeks in the ship back, and now he ships back here. And I always start to question how much that shipping around might affect the horse's performance. Just because it's been a pretty steady diet of shipping.
Such good form, and just not showing up in the softest race he'd been in a while, where he was the pretty heavy favorite against state-bred Florida runners. So we'll see if he can bounce back out of that Tampa disappointment.
Yeah, but, I'll always forgive a horse having throwing in a clunker at a track like Tampa Bay Downs. It's a sandier surface. Some horses just don't get a good grip on it. It kind of breaks away from them. He had run at Tampa before, but that was on the turf. I can forgive that. My question is the shipping back and forth.
3 horses on 5-2, at 5-2 on the board, a fourth at 3-1, and the biggest price, Answer In, not far behind at 5-1. A puzzle here in this Grade 3 Run Happy. Who's going to separate themselves? Question marks really with everybody, but I think from the moment they came out into the paddock to this point, the horse who's just impressed the most has been Repo Rocks, the way he's looked.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Repo Rocks looks terrific, as does the 2. I think Drafted is also making a really nice impression. A horse that, Jonathan talked about it. He was coming off a bit of a freshening in the Carter. Just the way the race ran, he had no chance. A world-class horse like Speaker's Corner getting to waltz on the lead, and you're on a closer, you basically have no chance.
Still, and we're looking at him right now at Drafted, that race he produced on February 5th that just wowed everybody. No one expected it. We hadn't seen that kind of race from him really ever in his career. He hadn't visited the winner's circle. I think it was something like 36 months. Was it a one-off?
But, it's interesting, though. Like, Jose Ortiz rode him for the first time that day, and it looked like the horse got eager, wanted to get going, and Jose went with it. And when a horse is 8 years old, like this horse is, sometimes when they show you they're in the mood to go, even if it might be a little premature or it might be a middle move, go with it. Don't change their mind. Conventional wisdom is, you hold them up and you make a certain length of a run. Let's say a quarter of a mile, 5/16 of a mile. He kind of kicked it in the gear at the half-mile pole that day, and Jose said,
and he just never stopped.
Right. You want to go, buddy? Let's go. And an older horse, it's like people. You get older, you get set. Your mind is set about a certain thing, and no one's going to change your mind. I think he just went with what the horse told him, and maybe they're just a good match.
We'll find out. It was electric what he produced that day. The 2 Drafted. Would love to see that kind of performance again. Meanwhile, you look at this race on paper, and it in some ways it goes through this horse right here because he's going to be the one in front that everybody's chasing, Chateau.
He's fast, and speed is always dangerous. And, again, going back to the 3 Repo Rocks, if he breaks cleanly, Chateau shouldn't have as easy a time of it on the lead. If Repo Rocks does what he does most of the time, which is hesitate at the start, then that gives Chateau a much better chance because he's going to be loose and get very comfortable.
Still, as Jonathan mentioned with Chateau, even if he does get loose, he's been on loose leads here before. He's 0 for 4 at Belmont, but in this race when he was second last year, I don't know if there's anyone the quality of a Firenze Fire who beat him last year.
No, he ran a winning race that day. And it's a balancing act. It's not about going to the lead and going as slow as you can. It's about going to the lead, getting a good rhythm, and then at some point making everybody work to stay with you. Kendrick kind of walks that tightrope pretty good.
Grade 3 Run Happy 6 furlong sprint. And it's back to favoritism for Repo Rocks, the 3. Keep your eyes on his break from the gate. Can he get out clean? It's been a problem. John Imbrial with the call.
And they're off in the Run Happy Stakes, and Chateau quickly goes out for the early lead, and Chateau is in front by 2. Officiating racing in second, Repo Rocks is next in third. It's another 2.5 lengths back to Answer In, and Drafted is the trailer in fifth. It is Chateau on top here by 1.5 lengths. Officiating is second by 3/4 of a length, with Repo Rocks down at the rail. The quarter went in 22 and 3. Answer In runs in fourth, 5 lengths from the front. Another 3 back to Drafted. It is Chateau taking the field to the top of the stretch. It's Chateau in front by 2. Officiating, Repo Rocks right together, second and third. Something's amiss there with number 4, Answer In, who has gone to the outside, passed by Drafted. 45 and 2 for the half mile, and Chateau is set down for the final 1/8 of a mile. It is Chateau in front by 4. Drafted is moving up on the outside. It's Chateau with the lead. Drafted with one last try inside the 16th pole. It is Chateau. Here's Drafted coming on, and it is Drafted to win the Grade 3 Run Happy Stakes. 6 furlongs in 1:10 and 4.
The 8-year-old comes and gets the lone speed. Drafted Yeah, you're right, Mig. Maybe this is just a good team together. Jose Ortiz and this 8-year-old son of Field Commission.
Yeah, Drafted was out run early. Jose sat quiet on him, allowed the horse to do what he wanted to do. He saved ground. You can see all the kickback he's covered with there in that shot. And when he swung him to the outside, now Chateau had everything his own way. He ran, very legitimate fractions, but that's how he wants to run. And it looked like he might hold everybody off at one point, but here comes Drafted with a devastating and relentless closing kick to run down Chateau in the shadow of the wire. And congratulations to Dave Duggan, who, again, just another trainer who does such good work. He's hitting it better than 27% this year. They make it count. They send them over ready.
Meanwhile, we saw Answer In veer out. What was the issue there, quickly?
Yeah, Answer In, look, he broke his rein. His inside rein broke in the middle of the far turn. You can see Chateau leaves in stride. Repo Rocks didn't break as bad as he does sometimes, just didn't find his stride the first 5 or 6 steps. Then he got up in the race. Ruben Silvera, an aggressive rider, got him into good position, but that's always been a little bit of a problem for him. You see right here, you think Chateau might be, but he always bottoms out a little bit late.
Very good sprinter. There's nothing wrong with being a runner-up in a grade 3, by the way, but
No.
maybe this kind of a group just a little bit beyond what he's able to handle.
Yeah, I mean, and it, it's funny, again, walking that tightrope. Kendrick tries to open up, save enough horse, but then open up because he's always going to get a little bit late, and you're hoping to put enough separation that you have a cushion that you'll hold on, but not when a horse kicks it into gear the way Drafted did. Drafted was very good today.
Drafted your winner, 2-1, 5-3 finish. With more on what happened with Answer In, let's go back to Liza.
Greg, Flavien Prat's inside rein just broke. He said it broke straight in half, right in the middle, but he was able to slow him down and get him slowed down enough for the pony to be able to catch him and safely guide him to being pulled up, and came over here and was able to pull up, hop off, and get unsaddled and away safely.
Liza, thank you. As a rider, Mig, how scary a situation is that?
Well, think about you're going down the freeway in your car and you lose your brakes and your steering at the same time, because your reins to the bit are basically your brakes and your steering. And, you still have another rein, but you can't use that rein without, throwing a horse completely off balance and maybe even tripping them. So he did a real good job to keep his balance. And when a rein breaks in the middle, there's rubber, there's leather down to the corner of the bit where it attaches to the bit. Then there's rubber in the middle to give riders grip. When it breaks in the middle where the rubber is, that's just a defect in the product, in the rein itself. It's not that someone didn't clean it or they weren't on top of making sure the stitching was good near the thing. There's no way to tell if there's a weak spot underneath that rubber. Thankfully, it doesn't happen too often.
What about the reversal for Drafted, too? I mean, not just this race, the Toboggan that was still out of this world, maybe the best race he's ever run. He was in this race last year. He was 18-1. He was a complete non-factor. The lights come back on for him.
Well, absolutely. But you see, that's when you get a horseman like Dave Duggan and his wife, Lara, and they work very closely together, and they have a limited number of horses. They put so much time and energy into figuring out how to get horses to respond and get back to their best form, and they work tirelessly at it. I'm by the barn a lot to see them. Full disclosure, I'm friends with Dave Duggan and Lara from the times they worked with John Kimmel when I was the first call rider there. So I've gotten to see their horsemanship firsthand. Anytime they win, it's not by accident. They do a good job.
He's been a fun story to watch, kind of come back around now as an older horse. Drafted winner of this grade 3 Run Happy. We're going to take a timeout. A lot more stakes action still ahead on the card. When we return, though, we'll have the story of the Backstretch Employee Service Team here in New York and how they're helping families adjust and improve their lives.
Eclipse Champion Blaine ranks among the nation's top sires at a fraction of the price. His recent top runners include Aga Khan stud Saidabad, a top performer overseas, plus these recent standout performers. With success on the track and success in the ring, this proven son of Arch is truly a gold value stallion. Blaine, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We are back on America's Day at the Races on FS2 SNY. Good to have you with us on a sensational Saturday. So many stakes still to come. Program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Drafted the 8-year-old, doing it again after that big win in the toboggan at Aqueduct. Now a grade 3 win in the Run Happy here at Belmont. Let's go downstairs to Liza.
Thanks, Greg. And here with winning trainer David Duggan. And David, he was able to just sit off of the pace and make that run again. Did you think he was going to get there?
No, I didn't think we were going to run him down. I mean, I didn't think they'd gone fast enough. But, I mean, he's pace dependent. I mean, obviously, I presume probably tracks helped him today as well. But he was training well. He was in good order, you know. And he ran a decent race the last time, just he was punching above his weight, you know. So got back to the real world and, you know, he showed up today. So backed up the good run.
And he seemed to have hit his stride since coming over here from Dubai. What has made the difference?
I couldn't tell you. He was a horrible horse to be around the first 6 months, just an awkward horse to train and do anything with. And once we kind of got into a rhythm with him, things started to fall into place. Not quite as good as they were in Dubai, but like I said, the last couple of months, you know, he's got his rhythm, he's got his, you know, probably age, getting like a wine, he's getting better with age, you know. So, but yeah, no, it's kind of justified. Backed up them last 2 good runs, so it was good. And Andy Serling picked him as well, so it was good, even better.
And what will be next for him?
Hadn't even thought about 3:20 this afternoon. I will sit down, we'll drink a little champagne, and we'll see what comes up. You know, see what they throw at us.
Well, congratulations. Go get that champagne.
Thank you, thank you.
Greg, going off to a champagne toast with that great run from Drafted today.
This horse has been so much fun to watch his resurgence. Now 2 wins in his last 3 starts. And that's a good plan. Sip a little champagne, see what's next for this horse down the road.
I just love the way David frames things. He said last time he was punching out of his weight category a bit, right? So, you know, going to a grade 1. Just a smart horseman, was a jockey, rode in Europe, rode in India. He's been around, was an assistant to Neil Drysdale, assistant to John Kimmel. A guy that's easy to root for.
Cross-country Pick 5 had began with that race that we touched on a little bit earlier, the Vagrancy, and Bella Sofia coming back, former test winner for her 4-year-old debut. A lot closer than I think many expected. Gutted that one out, $2.80 to start with an odds-on favorite. Now Drafted in a race that really everyone had a big shot. You had to probably get coverage there. We still got 3 legs to go. 6th race here at Belmont begins a Pick 6 carryover this afternoon. It will begin at a mile on the turf. Entry-level allowance, and Baby Blythe returns. She had a coming out party at Saratoga. Looked like she was going to be a star. Struggled in the Jockey Club Oaks Invitational for Shug McGahee. Now she comes back for a 4-year-old return to the races. That race is next. Well, if you're in this sport, you are part of a family. For those who take care of the horses, it's not just a job, it is a demanding commitment. For many on the backstretch, while they know the horses well, adjusting to the life and language here can be a big challenge. The Backstretch Learning Center aims to ease that transition for them.
BEST stands for the Backstretch Employee Service Team in New York. We are a nonprofit that's been in existence since 1989, and our mission is, to put it simply, what our motto is, which is caring for the people who care for the horses. Shortly before the pandemic, BEST assumed oversight and control of the education program here at Belmont. The program now consists of 3 main pieces. First is an English as a Second Language, or ESL class, where workers come to learn English, which is very important for their work and also for them to better integrate with the larger community.
And I used to be in the program before, you know, maybe 10 years ago, and see the English classes and the groom class, and see how best help all these people. So one day I hear they need somebody to help the English teacher as assistant. So present myself, Mr. Purchains gave me the opportunity to join the team, so this is how I'm starting the program.
My goal has been to create a community here where they all feel comfortable, they all feel safe when we're in the classroom, and I think that resonates with them, and I think they they see that and they reciprocate the same energy and they like it. They keep coming back. So, you know, when you like something, when something is good, when it's improving your life, you're going to tell other people that you care about, like, hey, you should come here. This has been really great for me. And that's how we've been getting the word to mouth. And also by going around the barns, telling people about it, and people that have been very hesitant to come in the beginning, they come to one class and another class, and then you see them there all the time because they're comfortable there. We don't just learn about grammar in English. We read newspaper stories, we watch movies, we watch documentaries. So it helps them with not just English, but, you know, just to learn and educate themselves with other things as well.
See, there's people come with no word in English, but now they can speak, they can keep a conversation. And one of these people who learn when they come to work.
We also have a computer lab where people can learn basics and beyond of how to operate a computer. We also have a citizenship training class where we train people to help them take the citizenship test. And for me, as a professional, as a person, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing one of the backstretch workers become an American citizen.
When I see my coworkers speak English with the boss, with the trainers, you know, when they do the things by themselves, I feel proud because I feel like I'm being part of their progress, you know.
Well, the success of this industry, whatever racetrack you're at, it is dependent upon these workers on the backstretch and the countless hours they have to put in. It's a life for them, day in, day out. And you know as good as anybody, Megan, great that they get this kind of support for so many things, health, wellness, but also puts them on a path to citizenship as well.
Absolutely, and I think you just said it very well. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle, and so many people just have such a love and passion for the horses, and their work ethic is as impressive. I mean, watching how hard they work, but how much they love it. It's interesting, and what people don't know, it's a community unto itself back there. I mean, you know, you got 2 track kitchens, so basically 2 restaurants. You've got, you know, the backstretch healthcare, the you know, Anna House, you know, daycare for the kids, and people live back there. It's like its own little city.
Well, everyone here that's part of this sport, and certainly everyone who works in the sport, grateful for all that they do. We're getting set for the Pick 6 coming up next. The 6th here at Belmont. Again, the Pick 6 will begin on the turf at a mile. We'll talk more about it when we return. We'll also talk about who's not going for a Triple Crown. Rich Strike passing on the Preakness. Belmont bound instead for the Kentucky Derby winner. Stay with us. We'll be back with more America's Day at the Races right after this.
The breeding industry is governed by one principle. Performance determines success.
And Constitution has won!
Now, he's earning his stripes by siring stars.
Independence Hall wins the Hagyard Bayette.
Law Professor just in front, and Law Professor.
American Revolution, fireworks in the stretch here in the Cigar Mile.
Constitution, a natural-born leader.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
He was just put together like a machine, and he had a great mind. Everything about him was what you'd want.
Tis the Law pops the cork in the champagne.
Tis the Law is going to win the first leg of the Triple Crown.
I've never seen him get tired.
Respect the law. Tis the law.
His structure is just perfect. His bone is perfect.
He's left the others behind. He's going to win the Run Happy Travers.
He's everything you would look for in a horse.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
They're off the turn, and just like that, Rich Strike rolls up and takes charge. Rich Strike with an inside run, angled out, and takes off for the 8th pole. Opening up by 6 now. Paint Your Wagon is left behind in second with Loonshot, Twitchy, and everybody else. Rich Strike now by 10, now by 12. Rich Strike, this race was never in doubt. Wins it by at least, maybe even 15 on the wire.
Calumet Farm might have a nice little runner here. Dropped this horse in to maiden 30 after debuting against maiden special on the turf at Ellis. Wins by a country mile.
If you're trainer Joe Sharp, you can't wait to get down to the racing office and make sure no one claimed this horse. You want this horse going back to your barn tonight.
You felt it too. The unspoken there, we felt like this was a major Derby contender off that. I'm kidding. Some horses just love Churchill Downs. This horse certainly did. A lot happened for him to get that win, that hot pace up front. Incredible ride from Sonny Leon. Wow. It all worked out with the second biggest upset in the history of the Kentucky Derby. I didn't expect this off that race back in 2021.
Breaking his maiden for maiden 30. The one thing you can say in hindsight, looking at he finished with his legs underneath him, he was still striding out. I mean, you know, obviously he was beating lower level horses, and he in fact did get claimed that day.
How about passing on a chance for a Triple Crown? And that's what these connections are going to do. They want to give him more time between races. That's what's been best with him. So next time we're going to see him will be here in New York at the Belmont Stakes, June 11th for the Test of the Champion. You could get your tickets. Do not get shut out. Going to cap attendance at 50,000 this year. It will sell out. So go to BelmontStakes.com to get your tickets.
Yeah, listen, I applaud anybody who puts the horse's best interest first. And if they feel like coming back in 2 weeks is too much for the horse, so if obviously the best, by far and away, the best effort of his life, I have no problem with it. Do what's right by the horse. Horse will do right by you.
Got the pick 6 up next. Mile on the turf. And look who's back. It's Baby Blythe. She was so sensational in that maiden win at Saratoga. That was at a mile and 3/16. Coming back here at a mile. Joining the program from down in the paddock. Good to see you, Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, long time no see, Greg. As we'll take a look at Baby Blythe, I don't know, taking a short price on her. I know she's run fast and 2 back and breaking her maiden, but she did get a nice pace to close into that day. But on the flip side too, she's actually built to be more of a horse that relishes the distance. Now going back to that Jockey Club Oaks Invitational, she didn't get the pace. She was really wound up that day, and so therefore she was rank and very headstrong. She's quite energetic here, so maybe cutting back to the mile, it kind of mitigates the fact that she won't be as forward and is as tough for Joel Rosario to handle. She looks fit coming back here. I have no problems with that respect. Do think she might need to strengthen up just a bit. I just thought there are way more interesting propositions in here than taking a short price on her. Number 3, lay the groundwork. She did not get to try the turf last time, but she won on the Tapeta nonetheless. 2 next time out winners finishing behind her. She is by Speightstown, who I think the world of as far as a sire. He can get a horse to do anything. And on the bottom side, the Dam was 3 for 9 on the turf, and the Dam half to Value Engineering, a multiple turf winner as well. I love her disposition here. She's so well composed for her first time here at Belmont. Far the races are concerned, carries great flesh, kind of typical of that Speightstown line, but looks strong, looks fit. I like what I'm seeing from her and love just that mile here on the turf for her. As we'll move on to some other runners making her first start here at NYRA. Second one in the country is number 7, Angel Palm. It's an interesting race she comes out of at Keeneland, in which that race dominated on the front end. And we saw Amalfi Princess come back, sit closer to the pace, going 6 yesterday, and pull off the victory, earning an 84 buyer. So I kind of think that race might be somewhat live and full of at least talented runners. She is a bit of a heavier type, so she also may have needed that race. But looking at her physically, and while her races in Europe never went beyond 7, I like the mile here in the States for her. I think it suits her well. A little bit cold-backed when Manny Franco got up on her. Coming in from the West Coast, though, is number 8, Miss Bella Ciao. She did control in a slow pace. Now, she comes here off the layoff. I wish she looked a touch more fit and tucked up, but she is sharp. So they found that she liked being on the front end. She was very game that day. But we'll see. I think, Greg, we'll see her forwardly placed here again as she is fairly fresh.
Maggie, thanks. I mean, she just missed by a neck. Miss Bella Chow, the 8-2 grade 3 winner on the grass, who is going to be the 6-5 favorite later today out on the West Coast in the grade 3 Santa Barbara for Michael McCarthy. Here's Baby Blythe. So her 4-year-old returned to the races. Her first try against winners was Stakes Company.
Yeah, turning back in distance, though, off of those efforts last fall. Shug McGee's horses usually get better with a race or two under his belt. Gets Joel Rosario back, who was on for that big win in Saratoga last summer.
The power of this barn and this ownership group. Chad Brown, Klarovich Stables, first time on turf and the favorite right now.
Yeah, definitely turf pedigree on the female side of the family. Tried to get her on the turf last time, rained off, but she produced a big run on synthetic there.
Angel Palm had been running in Ireland. State's debut came at Keeneland, going 5.5 furlongs for Brad Cox.
Yeah, it might have been a little sharp for her, the 5.5 furlongs at Keeneland. Removes the blinkers on the stretch out.
When we were just talking about, Maggie was as well Miss Bella Chow, import here from the West Coast.
And was forwardly placed last time on a very slow pace. But gets Johnny Velasquez. Maggie talked about how sharp he was. Johnny's not a rider that takes anything away from horses. He allows them to stride out, put themselves in the game.
And we skip over the 9 to go to Caironi. This is a 3-year-old debut for Caironi, who won debut, half-length defeat, first time against winners in Stakes Company, and didn't run bad at all in the Tepin as well.
Yeah, and the first starter for trainer Joseph Brocklebank, who was a very successful jockey, successful bloodstock agent. He's brother-in-law to Mike Maselli, who is sitting out of suspension. She looks good on the racetrack.
And another Brad Cox import here. This will be the State's debut, had been in Germany, Angelinka.
Very interesting runner, and the fact that she's a 5-time winner, albeit smaller purse over there, made her eligible for this race. But everybody else has won 1 race. She's won 5.
5 minutes a post here in the race. It kicks off a pick 6 carryover on this Saturday card. You can play the pick 6, late pick 5, everything with NYRA Bets. Join today. Get a $200 deposit match and sign up with the promo code STAKES200 and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. An additional $288,000 already bet into this pick 6 pool. Jonathan, start us off in this pick 6.
Yeah, I'm going to spread like crazy in here, but I will talk about a couple of horses that, I think need to be discussed. We'll start with the 1A, Baby Blythe. It's a horse that on paper is probably the best horse in the field. The problem is I think she wants a little bit more ground. With that said, there's kind of an unknown from a pace standpoint. Baby Blythe is the type of horse that if someone gets loose, I don't think she'll have enough time to run her down. However, if Baby Blythe somehow stays connected, we talk about it all the time, if they invite her into the race and she is close enough, I think her class could be too much despite the distance. Now, the horse that I do think could end up on the lead would be the 7 Angel Palm. Now, this horse sprinted last time, first time in the U.S., first time for Brad Cox. She didn't break that well, and she didn't necessarily show a ton of early speed, but she was connected going 5.5. And I think when you look at the pace figures of her race when she was going 5.5, it seems that she might have the ability that if she breaks well here and Manny kind of tries to take advantage of the pace situation, she can be forwardly placed. I think a lot of people think the 8, Miss Bella Chow, will make the lead. Her pace figures were just so slow last time. I can't trust that she will. Sure, she might, and she's a horse that I'd be using in the pick 6. But I do think there's a little bit of an interesting pace scenario with the 7 Angel Palm getting to the front. So I'll pick the 7 Angel Palm, but full disclosure, I'm going to use the 1, the 7, the 8, the 9, basically all but 1, huh?
Oh, boy. Don't do it, JK. Don't go all but 1. It means anyone can win, and you want that one. Still favoritism here on the Chad Brown Klarovich runner to lay the groundwork. Turf debut coming up.
Well, again, you said it. Powerful connections. Horse ran well last time on synthetic. There's turf pedigree underneath. You think there's upside. I misspoke earlier, too, by the way. I said that the 9-horse Angelinka was a 5-time winner. Everybody else only won once. Angel Palm actually did win twice. Everybody else is a 1-time winner. I think this race is very wide open, but I'm going to go with the 9, Angel Inca, because she's 1 for 1 at the distance, and she is a 5-time winner.
Well, let's look at Baby Blythe. Excited to see her come back. And this was the race that put her on everyone's radar, at least, as having big-time talent. She got a 90 by her in here. And, Maggie talked about it. She got a hot pace to run into, but she won by 7 lengths going away as well.
And the way she did it, I mean, she basically blitzed the field on the far turn. Very rare to see horses make that wide sweeping run on the turf and then continue to open up. And 7 lengths is a lot of separation in turf races. You think about most turf races, horses are within a 5 or 6 length proximity of the entire field. She put 7 lengths on the field after making that wide extended run, but I also do think it speaks to what Jonathan said, that it's pointed out that she wants more ground. Stamina is her strong suit. Maybe the mile's a little sharp for her.
Minute to Post coming up with more on one of the imports in the race. Let's go back to Maggie.
Greg, cue up the Counting Crows because I am the rain queen. I feel like every time I'm out here it just starts to rain, as we do have a shower moving through the area as of now as horses are approaching post time here on the turf for this mile contest. I do like number 9, Angel Inca, and here I'm actually going to pick the other Brad Cox runner. But Angel Inca, she's the one coming off the long layoff. Haven't seen her in 10 months, and she is making her stateside debut. She is sharp. The 2 layoff runners in here, actually the 3 because Baby Blythe as well, but her and Miss Bella Chow are very forward. Excuse me. Angel Inca, yes, her last start was at a mile, but prior to that, she had won 4 races sprinting. I will say from a physical perspective, she is built more like a sprinter, but a lot of times when these horses are sprinting overseas in Europe or, mainly in France for her and Germany, they do tend to stretch their speed because the races just aren't run as quickly there as they are here in our turf sprints. So she comes back in here. Like I said, she's sharp, but she's also very fit, which I appreciate. She's well-defined. She has this really rounded-out hindquarters. I think we do see her prominent here in this mile running. Guys?
Maggie, thank you. States debut coming up for this 4-year-old filly. First time here in the U.S., coming off that mile win in Germany. As Mig mentioned, 5-time winner, 3 of those wins on grass.
Yeah, and I'd be honest with you, I wish she would settle down a little bit more. She's just having a hard time kind of containing herself. She got over to the gate. They'll mill around before they go onto the turf course. And you saw her kind of galloping in place. I just would love to see her take a breath. Sometimes if you stand out with the pony and let them kind of look off in the distance, they'll take a breath. But she's been really on edge and a little bit too much for me, almost at the boiling point.
3-1 right now. She's the go second choice on the board. Here's the West Coast invader for Neil Drysdale, and she tried to do it on the front end with slow fractions against a very good one again by the name of Queen Goddess, who's a grade 3 winner on the grass and is going to be the favorite today's grade 3 Santa Barbara.
Yeah, I mean, it was a departure of her normal tactics, because normally more of a closing type, but they went 24-4, 50-3 to the half, so basically going 12 and change, dictated. And Flavien Prat is a guy who's very in tune to pace. Obviously, he seems like he's putting horses in all the right places. Almost seemed like she was entertained by the horse in between her and was doing enough to beat her and really didn't engage with that horse outside of her. Now, it's coming down pretty steady. I don't think it'll be enough to affect the course anyway, but if anything, maybe it helps a horse like the 9, Angel Inca, because she's run well on softer ground. Chirone's interesting, too, isn't she? Coming back as a 3-year-old, daughter of Cairo Prince.
Yeah, that's the 10. She has not run a bad race at all. She won first time out, so being fresh, you would think not a problem.
Yeah, shouldn't be a problem. And, again, getting back to her conditioner, Joe Brocklebank, he rode Danzig for Woody Stevens when he broke his maiden here at Belmont Park. So Joe knows his way around a horse. He's been around horses his entire life.
Filling in for Mike Maselli. Jose Lezcano will be aboard from that outside post. Don't forget, Stakes 200, that promo code to use for new members. Get signed up and started with Naira Bets and bet any track, anywhere, anytime, including this Pick 6. It was close to a $40,000 carryover coming into today, as you can see on the screen. And over nearly 420,000 additional dollars bet into the pool today. So good luck, everyone. I think the Grade 1 Man of War, everyone keeps talking about those two horses, Yabir, the reigning turf champion, Gufo, those two. There's a scratch in that race. Abana is going to be loose on the front end. Lone Speed, maybe one to consider.
Speed is always dangerous, and he got a very good scratch. The outsider scratching would have been, I think part of the pace so high kind of changed the complexion of the race.
I still like Yabir.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Yabir's just got such a turn of foot. See, riders will wear plastic over their goggles, like a little saran wrap. They pull the goggles down, leave the saran wrap on until they get in the gate, and then they'll pull that across so they keep their goggles from getting, covered with water, make it harder for them to see.
Pick 6 starts here on this stakes-filled Saturday card from Belmont Park. And lay the groundwork, turf debut for Chad Brown, Klarovich Stables, Flavian Pratt, the 3, who has the rail in this race, the favorite. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial to get us started in the sequence.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Angel Palm out for the early lead with Lay the Groundwork racing in second. Caironi now moves up from the outside. Then it's Miss Bella Chow as the field heads up the backstretch. Angel Palm, the leader. Caironi runs in second. Lay the Groundwork down at the rail running in third. Miss Bella Chow is next in fourth. Angelinka on the outside. And the trailer is Baby Blythe in sixth. Angel Palm leads here by a length. Caironi on the outside in second. The quarter went in 24-2. Lay the Groundwork sits in third. In between horses is Miss Bella Chow. In the clear on the outside is Angelinka. And the trailer still Baby Blythe. The leader still Angel Palm by a length and a half. Caironi is second by a half length with Lay the Groundwork next in third. Angelinka's on the outside. Miss Bella Chow runs in fifth. Baby Blythe is the trailer. Positions unchanged as they go around the far turn with Angel Palm still showing the way here. Caironi's on the outside. Then it's the duo of Lay the Groundwork and Angelinka. Now Baby Blythe is asked to pick it up on the far outside, and she's making a move. Miss Bella Chow now trails in sixth. The half went in 49-3, three quarters 113-3. Angel Palm trying to take him the entire mile here. It is Angel Palm with the lead. Baby Blythe on the outside. Lay the Groundwork down towards the rail. And Angelinka. But Angel Palm has opened up in deep stretch. And it will be a front-running score for Angel Palm and Manny Franco. Lay the Groundwork completes the exacta.
Angel Palm in front the entire way. Blinkers coming off. Start number 2 here in the States. The stretch out, the win. Tough trip, too, for Baby Blythe.
Yeah, a couple tough trips in there, and it was because of the lack of pace on Angel Palm. Blinkers off, popped out to the lead. Jonathan talked about this horse probably being the pace coming out of that 5.5 furlong race. Look how comfortable she got when she made the lead. We'll go back and look at that in a minute. Great call by Maggie, her top selection. But she was just so comfortable on the lead, a half and 49 and change, that he had so much horse under Manny Franco and plenty left when he set her down. She kept finding Baby Blythe a little bit keen behind that slow pace. Was a little rank, threw her head around, had to come wide. Tough to win going wide when the race is heating up. Nice trip for the runner-up, just second best for the 3-horse Lay the Groundwork. But keep it, this is a great illustration, I think, Greg. Watch the horses get down the backstretch. Pink Caps the winner, Angel Palm. You could see to the outside the 9-horse Angelinka. She's throwing her head about. The filly behind her is Baby Blythe. She gets to throwing her head around. Everybody's ranked because there's no pace on, and you could see the difference, how much more comfortable the filly on the lead is. Her head is straight. There's no fighting the rider. She's just comfortable. Her ears are up. She's relaxed. Where everybody else, you can see Baby Blythe there, kind of throwing her head up, and Joel Rosario having to sit in the saddle. That's what happens when you don't get pace and everybody's bunched up on each other, and the only horse comfortable really was the horse on the lead.
Wall of traffic for Baby Blythe, and the Joel Rosario, he had no choice on this gray, the 1A. He had to go about 4 wide around the turn and the rail out anyway. So not today for Baby Blythe. Angel Palm in front, and as Mick said, comfortable on the front end, going gate to wire for the win at 5-1.
That's when I say, for people that don't understand it, it's not how fast you're going, it's how you're going fast, and she was just comfortable doing it in a great rhythm.
Winning for Juddmonte, Brad Cox and Manny Franco in the irons for the victory. Pick 6 underway with a 5-1 chop. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, Mr. 1001, Dylan Davis, adding a victory today after that milestone victory just the other day. Mig had a chance to sit down with him and why things are going so good.
Reach the starting gate. It's post time. Home front, the favorite comes forward. And they're into the stretch. Cold Front put to the test. Mold Cash on the outside trying to go with it, but Cold Front kicks away. Cold Front 2.5. Cold Front does it again, wiring the field in the Amsterdam.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. SNY with us as well. Program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. We are underway in this Pick 6 carryover on this Saturday card at Belmont. Angel Palm. Second start in the States for trainer Brad Cox and Juddmonte. Gate to wire for the win under Manny Franco.
It just finished so strongly because there was no pace on. She got to dictate things. The field was bunched up behind her. Riders having their hands full because they're trying to stay off the leader. And the horse that made the pace and got the best trip was able to sprint home, which came home in 23. Baby Blythe will be better for the experience. And good run from Lay the Groundwork, who worked out a nice trip on the inside with Flavien Prat.
$13.20 for the win. Lay the Groundwork. Baby Blythe, second and third, as you see there. So a mild upset to begin our Pick 6. The late Pick 5 begins next here in race 7. 7/8 of a mile. An allowance optional claiming field for New York bred runners. I thought this race was completely wide open. Favorite right now, that is the 7, Bronx Bomber. Went gate to wire last start, and he has a chance to potentially do it again here. This 6-year-old just claimed by Linda Rice. A lot of firsts happening right now with young Dylan Davis. First Group 1 win of his career came last year. First riding title of his career came at Aqueduct, and he just recently, the other day, collected the 1,000th victory of his career. The MIG had a chance to sit down with D Squared and talk about completely turning his career around.
You have been riding in such great form, and I think it really started when you came back from being injured early in 2021. Was there any moment during that injury that it kind of clicked that you knew how you wanted to approach it coming back?
Of course, yeah. Just sitting back for about 2 months, watching all my horses running, got me really frustrated. Before my injury, I felt like maybe I was in a rut, and I had time to think about it when I was sitting on the sidelines. And at that point, I said, I can do this better. I could do it harder, smarter. I just wanted to show that I wasn't scared to come back.
And Vintage Hollywood will win the Kingston under Dylan Davis.
It's incredible to me how much you look like your father on a horse. He was always a good finisher, strong finisher on horses. Is that something that happened by DNA, or have you studied his tapes?
I think it's more of DNA. You only have so many tapes to go by. And now that I've been able to get my own style, I guess it leans towards my father more, but I'm just doing what I feel is comfortable for my body, and I guess it leans towards Dad.
Did you know early on you wanted to be a jockey?
No, I didn't. I enjoyed going to the track, but I never really paid attention to the actual racing aspect. I was just enjoying being a kid. There was a point in my life when I was about 16 or 17 where I was into motocross and dirt biking, and I wanted to actually be professional in that, and I knew it was going to be difficult, but if I put the work into it, I thought I'd be okay. And my father refused that. He said it was too dangerous, there's too many jumps, and you could hurt yourself. And it's funny because I'm in another dangerous sport.
The rider, Dylan Davis, his 4th win today.
What is it like competing with a sibling out on the racetrack? I can't even imagine. I know you have to kind of block that out. Is it anything that ever enters your mind about it?
It doesn't matter if it's my brother-in-law Trevor or Jackie or Katie maybe will make a comeback again. But if they got horse and I got horse, they better get to riding, because I'm going to give it everything I got, because they, just like any other rider, it's just I want to win as much as any of the other ones do, but I just want to beat them, and especially like Jackie or Katie. If I finish second, I want her finishing third. You know, I know if I can't win it, I want them winning it.
Now, last fall, you rode your first Grade 1 winner, Mutamakina, up in Canada in the EP Taylor. You had ridden her in a prep for the race. I think you learned that it's a very long stretch at Woodbine, and maybe you went for home maybe a little early, and I think it really made the difference in winning the Grade 1. You won with both races, but I think a different trip the second time.
Going into the EP Taylor, Christoph reminded me again, listen, I know it's a Grade 1 and you might be excited, but just try to wait on her as much as you can. And I'm looking at the wire and I see it coming, but it's still ways away. And I feel Joelle coming up on my outside, and I just kept her forward, throwing the crosses, and I was so excited that I got there first for a great trainer, and to put that away onto my resume.
He's taking it to the next level, and this was the 1,000th win of his career just yesterday on Heels Together, teaming up with Christophe Clement. What's been the biggest thing you've noticed since he's come back from that injury?
His consistency. He's much more consistent. He had always shown flashes of ability. He would do it well for a month or so, and then he would kind of almost, get a little lax, and then to me, just not ride with the same intensity. You see now his preparation. You see the consistency. You see the strength. I think that time off maybe made him realize, hey, you know what? Maybe take it for granted a little bit. I got to do this in the proper way. So now he got a 1,000th win yesterday, his first leading rider title at Aqueduct, first Grade 1 last fall. One more win today. So just so he didn't get too big ahead, he's still 2,381 behind his dad.
A little ways to go.
Yeah, Robbie Davis, tremendous rider. Dylan, obviously the pedigree to be a terrific rider. And uncanny how much he looks like his father on a horse. And you know what? His dad was a race rider, a top world-class rider, could ride with anybody. Son's showing the same kind of talent.
We've talked about it before, though, too, and you never want to get injured in this sport. But for Dylan, it really helped kind of turn his career around.
Listen, you're going to get injured in this game. It's just a matter of when and how bad. It's what you do with it. Some guys can't take the physical devastation of injury, or mentally they can't overcome it. It's what a rider does with it that you find out what kind of rider they are. Johnny Velasquez is a prime example. I knew Johnny had so much ability. I said, well, let's see when he gets hurt. And Johnny just did nothing but always respond to injury and come back better. Dylan did the same thing here. And to me, that's a benchmark of a champion. When a guy can overcome adversity, just like horses, he overcame adversity and came back better.
Yeah, fun to see his progression And going to be fun to see him going forward with all the big names back in town. He's holding his own still with all these big guns back.
Yep.
Some big names in the 3-year-old filly division on the grass, pointing to their next targets for Christophe Clement and Chad Brown. Of course, Pizza Bianca and Consumer Spending. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf winner, beat in that comeback race for Clement. This is her working yesterday at Belmont. She's got a couple of spots she's looking at.
Under Jose Ortiz, you saw him sitting in behind her workmate, and eased out from behind her. Christophe loves to work his horses like that, get them covered up, switch off, finish well. And as a matter of fact, Pizza Bianca's owner, Bobby Flay, was out for this workout. Got to chat with Bobby back at Christophe's barn for a while yesterday morning. Just a nice finish under wraps. It was not a race. You're not trying to beat your workmate. You're trying to use it as a workout to get fitter, to get better.
The beat coming back off the bench, were you not concerned by it? Did you think it was a fine return?
You know what? Horses don't have to win every race. You know, if they get something out of it and they move forward, there are bigger goals in mind than the one off the bench.
Talk of Royal Ascot, maybe the Belmont Oaks. We will see potentially a rematch with the filly who beat her in her comeback race. If she does go to that Belmont Oaks, Consumer Spending for Chad Brown, who put together back-to-back wins last year. She got beaten at Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, and this is turning into a nice little rivalry here.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, you know, you think about the trip Pizza Bianca got in the Breeders' Cup, Consumer Spending not far away. Consumer Spending's on the inside, the workmate outside of her. You can see how keen she is. Look at the rider's hands, how far off the horse's neck, trying to restrain this horse. Where Consumer Spending's just very comfortable. She's doing it very professionally, not under that kind of restraint, but not being asked for anything. Finished up nicely. These are good fillies.
Be fun to see what their next spots are for two of the very best trainers in this sport. Mig, you're leaving us. I'm going to be joined by Andy Serling after a quick timeout, but it's good to spend a little time with you.
That was great. Terrific day of racing still to come, and I have one thing to say as I leave you.
I know what's
Let's go Rangers. That's it.
Game 7. Wonder where this guy's going to be. We're going to take a timeout. First Grade 1 of the meet still coming up on this Saturday card. Grade 1 Man of War. And two monsters in this showdown. The reigning turf champion, Breeders' Cup Turf winner Yabir, and Gufo, multiple Grade 1 winner, going head-to-head to come.
Honor Code, a multiple Grade 1 winner from the final crop of the legendary AP Indy. Never off the board in 11 starts, he was crowned champion older horse before retiring. Now he is living up to the promise of his pedigree. With progeny like Grade 1 winners Honor AP, Max Player, and Maracuja, and multiple six-figure yearling sales, Honor Code stands to continue his sire's legacy at Lane's End.
Perfectly timed. Idol gets up under Joel Rosario to win the big gap. It's known agenda for St. Elias Stable.
Race and the race, scintillating performance in the TVG Del Mar debutant.
And Clariere will win the cotillion.
Down to the wire. Who's going to win it? It's Mala by a neck.
Curling, the classic sire.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back at America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. Program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual. unusually well. We have the start of the Saturday late pick 5 coming up next. It's going to begin on the main track. New York breds sprinting 7 furlongs wide. Open group for this spot. Let's head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
It is an interesting group assembled here in the paddock, Greg. Could not agree with you more. I'll actually start by taking a look at the quote-unquote other Rudy Rodriguez horse as Massimo Marauder. He looks to make good on that big figure he ran last time, and certainly the runner-up Key Point complementing that figure with a 92 win in his subsequent effort. But I'm a little interested in Rudy's other horse in here, number 1, Gemography, first off the claim. Now, he is a horse that I've always kind of liked, but Rudy will tend to put just a bit more speed in his horses, especially when he first acquires them, and Gemography is definitely the sharpest and keenest I've seen him appear prior to a race. And last time out, Mr. Phil won gate to wire. It was a track back on March 27th that was certainly favoring horses forwardly placed. It was a slow pace. He was at the back, and nobody made up any ground. So I want to forgive him for that. And a lot of times this horse has jumped up and run big races. I think Gemography is a serious contender in here, and I like the 7 furlongs to boot for him. As we'll jump to the inside post, that's number 2, Prince of Pharaohs. Look, I've never been his biggest fan necessarily, but I do think that, I know he's winless in 4 starts at this distance, I think the Goldilocks effect could take play here in that I just feel like, I guess 6 is a little too short for him, but I've never really loved him going a mile despite him winning at that distance. And now he's kind of third off that little bit of a freshening, and this is by far the best I've seen him appear. 2, he gets to run out of his own stall now after wintering for the most part at Aqueduct. Always a horse that carries his conditioning really well, and this might be the most defined and solid I've seen him appear. Look, not a horse I love, but just one that caught my eye. Now, number 3, Listen to Your Heart. This race, despite it being the 7/8, does not have, oh, wait a minute. I need to jump back to number 1 here quickly, guys. Number 1, Gemography, is wearing an extension blinker. Rudy loves to put an extension blinker on a horse, and we do see it work. I mean, think of Scuttlebuzz, but more often than not, it doesn't work. So extension blinker for the first time on number 1, Gemography. But getting back to number 3, Listen to Your Heart, as he shows up as a new gelding, and one in the past where I've seen him act up and be a bit studdish. So I like that proverbial equipment change. 2, he's a horse that runs well fresh. His first start, he won. Then he comes back off the layoff as a 3-year-old and runs his best figure to date in the Mike Lee. And he kind of shows that in the paddock too. He always comes in well prepared, very fit, and has run on his mind today. Like I said, he's not acting up, which he can do, but he is forward. He's engaged here in the paddock. And like I said, there isn't that much speed here signed on. Joel Rosario could control this race, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. 7 minutes to post, and that's the man who will ride. Listen to Your Heart for Christophe Clement, reigning Eclipse Award-winning rider Joel Rosario. Joining me on set, New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. We got a good race here to start this late pick 5, and of course the Man of War coming up.
I agree. I thought this was a really fun race. You and I were talking about it, a wide open race. I'm interested in the 2 Prince of Pharaohs, but I could see a lot of different players, and you got the stakes coming up, and obviously looking forward to Yabir, the Peter Pan as well, which is just wide open.
It's our ABR Race of the Week. Man of War, Grade 1, first Grade 1 of the meet, and the reigning turf champion, Breeders' Cup Turf winner, Yabir, who we were first introduced to here in the States in that Jockey Club Derby Invitational when he made a similar move. His turn of foot is something else in the stretch.
He is, and he wanted a 1 3/8 today's distance at Belmont Park back in September, and he inhaled the field in a matter of strides that day. I'm sorry, that was a 1.5 miles. And I think it's important to note a 1.5 miles because I think the 1 3/8 maybe helps Gufo, and maybe a little shorter the absolute best for Yabir. I don't figure it'd be a problem, but maybe it helps even the scale a little bit. It's interesting in this race, Greg, and like the Kentucky Derby where the long shot Summers Tomorrow was such a factor in the race, right, with his extreme speed. The outside horse in this race would have been 100 to 1, but he was the speed, and him scratching helps a bond, and it does not help Gufo, and it definitely does not help Yabir.
Yeah, Aban is going to be alone loose on the front end with no one to challenge him in here. Meanwhile, though, Yabir, connections say he is grown. He is filled out from 3 to 4. And Obviously, they believe he loves it on this kind of a racetrack.
Yeah, the feeling Charlie Appy, his trainer, said is, sort of the undulating tracks in Europe. He's much more comfortable in these flat tracks where I guess he can get his momentum. He runs as well as he did in Dubai, even though he lost. He's going to be very, very hard to beat. I think if you're betting against him, which I'm not, you wonder, he ran Dubai. He prepped 5 weeks later in Europe. Now 2 weeks later he comes here. You worry about the travel. But I got to say, if Charlie Appleby's not worried about the travel, the guy came over here and just dominated big races last year like I've never seen anybody from Europe do.
It's incredible. 9 for 18 with his U.S. starters here last year, and they were hauling the biggest races around. Here is Gemography. He'll break from post 4 in here with Irad Ortiz Jr.
I do think he's a very interesting claim by Michael Dubb. But I don't like the fact they claimed this horse a month and a half ago for $62,000 and running for $45,000. I understand with the purse, a claim and a win, they make money. I still don't like it.
Prince of Pharaohs, he gets the rail for Linda Rice.
He needs some pace, and he lost some pace to scratches, but he has been in great form, and hopefully this track, which is sealed now, we had a little bit of rain, won't work against him. This horse has run very, very well against the track in 2 straight races.
It's one interesting as well. Coming back as a 5-year-old, he hasn't raced since May of last year.
He is a new gelding, and perhaps that'll help him. He's got one good race, and I'm not even sure if that one good race, in my opinion, is good enough to beat these. He could be forwardly placed, though.
Gandy Dancing, 5-year-old son of Flatter, 32-1.
Even at his best with Chad Brown, he probably wasn't as good enough to beat these horses. He's the obvious outsider.
This is the biggest surprise probably on the board. This horse ran the race of his life that would destroy this group if he could repeat it. He's being ignored on the board right now.
It's strange. And off his last race, he should be 2-1. If you knew he was going to his last race, he'd be 3-5. But where did it come from? And the board is saying, I don't know where it came from, but I know it's not coming back.
Yeah. Bronx Bomber 7-2 went by.
He's the main speed in here, and when they got back to his speedy tendencies last time he wired the field, he could be kind of the worst to beat, oddly.
Brewpub 17-1.
Probably happy to get a little rain, but probably not good enough to beat these horses.
And 7 Lilies in very sharp form. Got beat last time out by a horse who's won 3 in a row, Dr. Ardito.
I do worry that potentially the lack of speed could hurt this horse, but I think there's an argument, especially the way Mass Marauder is getting bet, that he's the horse to beat, the best horse. But Bronx Bomber's speed could make him dangerous here.
Pick 5 again starts here in this 7th at Belmont. Includes the Man of War, includes that Belmont Stakes prep, the Peter Pan. JK, how are you going to put it together?
Well, hopefully you're alive in the carryover pick 6 that just started the race before. But if you're not, luckily enough, your friends at NYRA are going to give you a pick 5 that you can play. I'm going to spread in a couple of these legs and get skinny in some of the other ones. To get started here, I'm going to use 1, 3, 7, 9. I think the 1 Gemography is interesting from the inside. We'll see what happens off the claim first time out. You think the horse should improve a little bit switching to Rudy's Barn. In the Man of War, I only need the 2 and the 3, Gufo and Yabir. I'm a little bit worried about the pace, but those 2 horses are just too good. One of them should stay close enough to be able to get the trip to win in here. In the third leg, 1, 2, 4, and 5 in the Peter Pan. Look, electability looks to be continuing to improve, but I thought the 5 Golden Glider ran sneaky okay down at Keeneland. I'm going to single the 1 Rougier, and then to wrap it all up in the last leg, 2, 6, 9, 11. I thought the 11 Autumn Glory, that 2-year-old figure might look a little bit light. First race as a 3-year-old, looking for that improvement. Still a pretty tough race to end the sequence, but I do think the 11's interesting.
All right, JK, that's one way to put it together. Good luck to everyone playing this late pick 5. Most believe, I think even with that scratch we talked about in the Man of War, which is going to have a Bond loose, that it comes down to Yabir or Gufo.
I agree, and I'm not a Bond's biggest fan, but I think the dynamics have changed dramatically in his favor. And it's worth noting that when he lost his last couple races, he wasn't able to make the lead. It's hard to see him not making the lead in this race. There's really no speed, not that he has any particular speed. It'll be interesting to see how it comes out, because if you look at Yabir's last race, where he lost at 1-5, he was sitting in attendance to a very slow pace against horses not as good as him, not even close. Did he need the race come from Dubai? Perhaps he did, but I still worry a little bit. I think Yabir's a horse where you got to drop back a little bit. I'm not saying 15 lengths out of it, but you got to sort of let him find that rhythm and not hustle him into the race.
There's the rider we just told you about who Miggs sat down with. Dylan Davis just yesterday collected the 1,000th win of his career. He's on to 2,000 already with a win earlier on today's card. Let's take a look at the one Andy likes here, Prince of Pharaohs. This was his last effort. He was beat by a horse named River Dog, who started out early on in his career really good, and he seems to be getting back to that form.
If you're playing biases, this is a horse you have to bet on. I am a little worried about the lack of pace. But 2 starts back, eliminated the start, a racetrack where nobody closed all day, and he made a big run despite having significant trouble. Last time out, big inside speed track. He's well back, makes a run, never on the inside, wide the whole way. River Dog, who came back to win, improved his Beyer figure. I thought he ran very well in the last 2 starts, and a lot better than those 72 Beyers suggest. I wish there was more speed. I wish Foolish Ghost was still running. I wish St. Selby, who's running on the turf tomorrow, was still running. But it is what it is, and this horse has overcome less than favorable circumstances. And at the end of the day, I don't love anybody in here, and I don't see why he can't run his A race and beat this field.
Bronx Bomber, the 7, looks again like he could potentially get away. Could the 3 maybe, Rosario, try and keep him company? Let's go back down to Maggie.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Prince Pharaohs looks better than what I've seen from him in the past. Now, originally, I was leaning towards number 1, Gemography, but when Andy, brought up the drop off the claim, the extension blinker going on, those things add up for me to move away. And I'm going to go with the horse that I originally liked, kind of coming in with on paper. Granted, as Andy said, there was a lot more speed coming into this race on paper than there is today. But I do think we'll see the 3 go. We'll see Bronx Bomber go. And 7 Lilies, I just love the 7 furlongs for him. I think it's just the perfect distance for him. He looks healthy, as he typically does. Rob Atras looking for his 2nd win here on the card. This is a horse that, takes a little while to warm up, kind of like his races. He takes a little while to get going. But it's a typical 7 Lilies, and I'm going to try him here, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Post time coming up, about to load 7 Lilies. The outside run of the 9 remains the 5-2 favorite. Over 760,000 in this Pick 5.
Well, you got 3 grade stakes, including a grade 1. It's a manageable sequence. The Peter Pan's open. The other ones, a lot of people feel they can narrow it down. 2-1 now on the horse on the outside. I don't have a problem with 7 Lilies. I think he's very dangerous in here. I think 2-1 is cutting it a little bit close on him, to be honest. And once again, I'm just going to keep saying it. I like Prince of Pharaohs in here. I think he is definitely a good price at 6-1.
There's the 5 stepping in. Huge long shot. Gandy Dancing, biggest price on the board. Dylan Davis looking for number 2 this afternoon. 7 Lilies, the 9, the favorite. As we get set for the start of the Pick 5, there he is on the gray. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial, the call to get us started.
They're all in the gate. And they're off. Bronx Bomber. Now Listen to Your Heart moves up. And Listen to Your Heart has taken over the lead. Bronx Bomber is there along with Gandy Dancing on the outside. Gemography down at the rail is Prince of Pharaohs in 5th. It's 2 lengths. Back to Masked Marauder, who's running in 6th. Alongside is Brewpub. 7 Lilies, the gray, is the early trailer here in 8th. The quarter went in 22 and 1/5 seconds. It is Bronx Bomber opening up now. Bronx Bomber by 2.5 lengths. Listen to Your Heart. Gandy Dancing. They are heads apart, 2nd and 3rd. They've got 3 lengths on Gemography and Prince of Pharaohs, who's down at the rail. Farther back, Brewpub, Masked Marauder, and 7 Lilies. It is Bronx Bomber, who ran the half mile over the good and sealed track in 45-1 and is still in front as they come for the head of the stretch. Bronx Bomber, the leader. Listen to Your Heart runs in 2nd as Gandy Dancing drops back. Down at the rail is Prince of Pharaohs. On the outside is Gemography. And then Masked Marauder. Here's Listen to Your Heart. Now to take over the lead. Listen to Your Heart is in front. Prince of Pharaohs has moved into 2nd. Then Masked Marauder and Gemography. Listen to Your Heart in front as they come on for the finish. Masked Marauder on the outside. Then Prince of Pharaohs. It's Listen to Your Heart at 7-1.
Listen to your heart. This horse showed talent early on in his career. Off the bench, now back as a 5-year-old with a victory here to start off this pick 5.
Yeah, I guess if you like new geldings, maybe you had this one. A horse coming off a substantial layoff. Hadn't seen him in 2 weeks shy of a year. He had that one good race in the Mike Lee. The rest of his form, not particularly attractive. Didn't handle 2 sloppy sealed tracks last time. A little moisture today in the sealed track. Completely different horse. Congrats to Christophe Clement. Not a trainer who normally has them ready off layoffs. He ran today. I thought my horse, Prince of Pharaohs, when he wheeled out, was home. A great ride by Jose Lezcano. He simply didn't finish in this race. But Mass Marauder, they didn't bet him. But he still ran today, Greg running second. The rest of the field, complete and total no-shows.
Listen to your heart. First race back since May of last year. And it's got to be the career best performance he's ever put together.
Oh, by a mile. I mean, just a different horse. An odd race. You do wonder a little bit with the track being sealed. I don't know if they'll open it for the stake, the Peter Pan. If maybe some horses just didn't really handle it out there, because it just felt like an awful lot of horses completely failed to show up. I mean, look at who was 4th. Brewpub. Where was the 9? Where was the 1? You know, none of these horses made an appearance at all in here.
7-1 start to this late pick 5. And we have our first grade 1 of the meet coming up next. And we'll also talk Preakness, the filly, on to meet the boys again for Secret Out, the Kentucky Oaks winner. For D. Wayne Lukas, we'll preview her chances when we come back.
Spun to Run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
With just about a furlong left to go, Rachel Alexandra, she's got a 3-length lead. Here comes Musket Man. Musket Man charging and mind that bird on the far outside. The Derby winner, mind that bird, closing the late gap, but it is Rachel Alexandra. She's simply above and beyond them. A filly has won the Preakness.
She would go on to beat the boys several more times that year. What a superstar Rachel Alexandra was. Preakness victory, and of course she beat older horses at the end of the year at Saratoga.
Right. This performance and the Woodward were kind of performances in winning, and especially any race, a $10,000 claimer, any race, where you just don't see horses do it. She effectively won meltdowns. She won races where other horses that were near her in the lead finished in different counties. And she dueled with Big Drama in this race, who won the Breeders' Cup Sprint the next year. That's who she was dueling with. 23:46, mile and 3/16. 2 weeks after winning Kentucky Oaks. Now, you could say it was a public workout. She won by 20 lengths, and then she had a public workout here in the Mother Goose. But this was a filly as a 3-year-old that breathed different air than just about any horse I've ever seen.
Not a lot of fillies have gone to the Preakness and been successful. We've been lucky enough to see it twice since 2009. Rachel Alexander, of course, and the Swiss Skydiver did it in 2020. And that duel with Authentic, who would go on to win the Classic as well and Horse of the Year.
I understand a lot of us sort of sleepwalked through the pandemic. I had forgotten the Swiss Skydiver filly had won this race a year ago. I just like completely left my mind.
It was a strange year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. And she ran unbelievably well to win that race.
Could we see it again this year with the Kentucky Oaks winner? Secret Oak, Dwayne Lucas going to that middle jewel of the Triple Crown.
The competition's going to be tougher in this race. She's got to run against a horse like Epicenter, and I know he's coming back from the Derby, but it's the same as she is, right? She just ran a day earlier. And Epicenter's very, very good. She's got to deal with a new shooter like Early Voting, who's a very talented horse. Chad Brown's done this before, but I'm not going to say she can't win this race. She's a very nice horse, but in my opinion, she'll have to improve a little bit. Doesn't mean she can't.
She's been very, very good. I even think that Arkansas Derby, when she faced the boys before, she ran an incredible race that day.
She did, but that Arkansas Derby wasn't a very good race, and we saw that in subsequent races. But I will say in this Kentucky Oaks, she ran very well to win it. She didn't have a perfect trip. She was clearly the best horse. She made the first definitive, aggressive, wide move. The truth is that Nest had a better trip than she did. If Nest was at her equal, Nest probably would have beaten her, and that she easily beat Nest in this race. I don't think that she not only won, I think she won as clearly the best horse.
She's going to get a lot of attention just by the fact that she is a filly in against the boys in a Triple Crown race, adding a lot of extra drama to the Preakness Stakes. And Dwayne Lucas, of course, he has had so much success with fillies against the boys in big races. Take a look at the field that is looking to line up against her. Of course, the Derby winner we told you about, skipping the Preakness to run in the Belmont, but the big name who's probably going to be the favorite is going to be Epicenter. Should go off as the top choice in the race, but as you mentioned, some other ones in there, most notably Early Voting is going to be interesting. Can he be alone in front?
Well, will he be? Well, Armagnac, the horse who was maybe entered today, and they're not certain, but the horse from California is potential speed. What will the draw be? The draw matters, especially for Early Voting. Is there potential speed outside of him, inside of him? And I'll tell you something else. Epicenter isn't going to be back in 8th like it was in the Derby. Epicenter is going to be right on the pace.
It's going to be fun. Middle jewel of the Triple Crown, and then we get Rich Strike back, that Derby winner in the third and final leg of the Triple Crown here in the Belmont Stakes. Late pick 5 here in New York. Begins with Listen to Your Heart. 5-year-old returned to the races. Been off since May of last year. 7-1. Christophe Clement, Mary Legs Farm, and Joel Rosario.
Yeah, congrats to Christophe having this horse ready to go, and he really ran in here. A big improved effort for a horse, the new gelding. Really ran today, and nobody else, a lot of horses near were total no-shows. Whether or not the little moisture in the track has sort of sealed the track, maybe that's affected things, but it didn't hurt the winner. He won, and he won for fun. Listen to Your Heart. Nice performance by him, and like I said, Christophe, not a trainer who usually cranks him up off layups.
By the way, Mass Marauder, off that incredible effort, completely ignored. Winds up second in here.
They didn't know.
3-6-2 to start the late pick 5. What if I could tell you you get 5-1 on Gufo?
Well, you're not going to. I'm looking at doubles, but I'm going to look at this one. Look at the difference between the Exacta and the on-track price of .caw play were much shorter. The Exacta paid $170 for $2. That price, you got $100.
ABR Race of the Week next. Our first Grade 1 of this meet. Grade 1 Man of War, mile 3/8 on the inner turf. And the reigning turf champion, Breeders' Cup turf winner, Yabir, 1-9 early on here. And yes, the odds will get a lot closer between Yabir and Gufo. But right now, big disparity. Gufo close, some unfinished business in this race, missed by a nose in the Man of War last year. We'll see if he's up to the task, but here is the reigning turf champ back in the States for Charlie Appleby. We'll be back.
Maximum security
proves he's the real deal with a gate-to-wire win in the Florida Derby.
Champion 3-year-old.
Maximum Security has won the TVG.com Haskell Invitational.
11 triple-digit buyers.
Maximum Security. He smoked them in the Cigar Mile.
Grade 1 winning 4-year-old.
Maximum Security takes them all the way in the TVG Pacific Classic.
Secure your mare's future. Maximum Security.
Monmouth Park's summer season rolls on with live racing action every weekend in May. Win early and often with our Win Early Pick 5. First race 12:15. Home to full competitive fields and big paydays, Monmouth Park continues to prove itself as a place to profit. New for 2022, on-site customers can lock in odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off in the United Nations. Fantastic is sent hard to take the lead. Fantastic has been there every step of the way. Fantastic shakes loose with a quarter of a mile to go. He's in front by 2 lengths, but it is Fantastic to take up coast to coast in the United Nations.
155 and in the back, 150,000. Jody, thank you.
Fantastic, standing at 3 chimneys.
Down to the final furlong now, and it's Cape Blanco in front. Mission Approved fights on. Gio Ponte is third with time running out. Jamie Spencer is all over. Cape Blanco drifting to the outside, but still holding on. Gio Ponte, not today. The day belongs to Ireland and Cape Blanco.
A statue in the stretch. Not exactly. Cape Blanco, though, the win in the 2011 edition of the Man of War.
They certainly look different, the riders from
such a different style.
The other side of the ocean than they do here. But he got the money and got it done over a very good horse, Christophe Clements. Gio Ponte is, if Christophe looks at that, he's going to say, so I'm going to run second to another Euro in this race today?
We will find out in a bit. This is a monster showdown with another Euro who looms large in this year's edition, reigning turf champ, trying to add his name to this list of European-based Man of War winners. Zakova, the last to do it in 2017.
Yeah, and there's some very good horses. Red Rocks beat Curlin in that race. Dr. Dino, a very nice horse. Fantastic Light, Incredible. Delamy as well. And if you want to go back even farther, 1978, the incredible race mare Weah beat Tiller to win this race when we had it in the fall with the legendary Angel Cordero riding.
So here is Yabir, the reigning turf champion. Third start back here of his 4-year-old campaign. Still early on here in the wagering. He's 1-5 on the board. And you have their excuses really for both those defeats coming back as a 4-year-old. He had about a 10-wide trip in the Shima Classic. And then last time out at 1-5, as you mentioned, he had 0 pace to run at.
He also ran against pretty good horses in the Shima Classic, you know. And last time, no pace. I still think you have to be a little worried. But I think what it says is he needs to settle back. He's not the kind of horse you want to take out of his rhythm. Let him sit back and make that long run like he made before. It's not like Gufo is a particularly fast horse, but he is likely to be in front of Yabir. But I don't think Yabir wants to let him too far out of his sights.
Last time he was in New York, he was sensational in the Jockey Club Derby Invitational. And everyone expecting more of the same by the way he's being bet. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
And then he was sensational in winning the Breeders' Cup Turf, Greg, as a 3-year-old. But the fact of the matter is that he was a 5-year-old physical when he was a 3-year-old. So now, though, there actually has been a bit of filling out, some furnishing of this horse. He's put on weight and conditioning from what I can see, and he has 3 races heading into this Grade 1 Man of War. Yes, somewhat compromised with a scratch of another early pace horse in here. He kind of came in a little bit more energetic than what I had seen from him, at least in that one race last year, but has since chilled out with the tack on. He wears that hood, which he has throughout his career. It keeps him nice and settled, but I like what I'm seeing from him. I mean, he just looks so fit and so strong. We'll see how the race develops out in front of him, though. Moving on to the likely pace setter in number 4 at Bonn for Todd Pletcher. He will go out first here, and he is a horse that it tends to live on his nerves a little bit, hence why he's going to kind of separate himself from the rest of the field. Though, so far in the paddock, he has handled himself with aplomb. No reason to fret as of yet. Dappled head to toe, obviously bringing up his kind of Florida tan from South Florida. But I like what I'm seeing from this horse, and I've always thought that 1.5 miles could possibly be his best distance. Does have 1 win over this trip in 2 tries. And then a horse at a bit of a price is one of 2 Grand Motion horses in here. That's number 1, Easter. I know he has yet to travel this far in his career, but they're switching him to a 1.6 miles from a 1 16th race in which he got off slowly that day, kind of wiggled his way through traffic and just didn't have the jump on the rest of the field as the winner did, who got a beautiful trip by Dylan Davis that day. But Easter, he was running through the wire. He's built like a horse that wants to run this far over the 1.5 miles. He's incredibly fit, and I think possibly we could expect a faster break this time with his second start in the States, as we need to throw it over across the paddock to Acacia Clement, who is standing by with Yabir's regular rider, William Buick.
I am indeed, Maggie. Thank you. William, welcome to Belmont Park. The other pace setter in here scratching out of this race, so just one horse, a Bonn, who could be forward. How do you plan to ride it aboard Yabir today?
I mean, he is a little bit one-dimensional, you know, like he is a closer. And I suppose, you know, he could have done with the 6 horse being in the race. But look, we got to play it as it's dealt. Look, if he comes back to his North American form from last year, he's going to be tough to beat.
We didn't see you at Belmont last year, but you did win the Breeders' Cup aboard him. Why do you think these American turf courses suit him so well?
He likes a turn. Yeah, he likes to come off a turn, and I mean, you know, he took his form to a new level over here last year, and look, he ran very well in Dubai as well in the Shima Classic, and last time was a prep race for this race, so he's in good shape.
Thanks for your time, William. Best of luck.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Greg, pleased to have world-class rider William Buick here riding at Belmont Park as well.
Absolutely. World-class rider for, we talked about, you know, a little bit what Charlie Appleby accomplished with his horses coming to the States last year. It was just unreal.
Next time we see this horse in America, if he doesn't win today, Charlie's bringing a rabbit. I guarantee it.
Very likely. We'll see if a Bonn can make an impact. We're going to take a timeout. The great man of war, Skip the Derby. We'll be back. We are back in the first Grade 1 of the meet at Belmont. Coming up in the Grade 1 Man of War, a program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. This race coming up named after a horse regarded by many as the greatest of all time, the Man of War. We start with the speed of the race, Aban.
He's ready to go to the front. He went to the front in the post parade. He's planning to do it in the race.
Intentions clear. Todd Pletcher trained. Luis Saez, who's aggressive as well, on board a horse who should be in front. He's 6-1 right now. He's beat by Gufo last time out. He ran second to him. Here's Easter for Graham Motion.
He got a great ride by Ivor Castellano last time, saving ground and being in all the right spots. In my opinion, he's the lesser of the two Graham Motion horses.
Multiple Group 1 winner, and he just missed by a nose in this race last year, Gufo.
Yeah, we're going to address the blinkers coming off for his last race. I liked how fastly he won last time. He's often been a horse that's hung a little bit. Last time he just rolled on by.
That was a big debut, coming back as a 5-year-old at Gulfstream. The reigning turf champion, here he is, Yabir for Charlie Appleby and Godolphin.
And as you heard William Buick say, he's not happy by the scratch of the 6, and he's concerned that a lack of pace could mute his closing kick. That's probably the only major concern as far as this horse's chances.
And the other Graham Motion horse, Graham says this horse has been very keen in the AM and anticipates him being a lot more forward if he breaks clean.
I agree. He's got to break cleanly in this race, obviously, and he is a true distance horse and has kept some very good company overseas. Do not sleep on this horse. He could be in the try for sure. I think he's maybe the third likeliest winner.
17-1 on Highland Chief. Trevor McCarthy will be aboard, 8 minutes away from the Grade 1 Man of War and the blanket that will adorn the winner of this prestigious race that last year was won by Channel Cat with Gufo just missing.
I like that. Have we had that in the past? Have we had that in the past?
7 minutes to post.
Jonathan's going to be jealous. He probably wants to wear one of those.
This Man of War, but he got some great sun, so he's doing fine.
Oh,
JK.
Good for him.
Yabir, Gufo, or the Lone Speed? What do you think?
I'm going to go with Yabir, just because I just think he's the most talented horse. Now, I'm not cutting a line to bet the horse at 2-5, but for this race, I'm going to pick Yabir as the horse I think is the most likely winner. He just keeps running good races. And you got to remember that we saw him running great races as a 3-year-old. You come back as a 4-year-old, you're meant to improve even more and get even faster from a speed figure standpoint. If Yabir does that, he's going to be extremely hard to beat. Now, the pace is a concern, and obviously the 4 Aban should be on the lead. But how is Aban on the lead? Is Aban going to open up, or is he going to do one of those deals what we've seen very often, where they try to kind of walk the dog on the front end? Suddenly, Yabir and the 2 Gufo are very close. And if they can stay connected, I think one of those 2 horses, from a class standpoint, despite the pace, will be able to run Aban down. I'm going to pick Yabir. I'm also using Gufo, but I think Yabir is the horse that you want. But I can guarantee you that my friend Acacia is rooting for one horse in this race.
I certainly am biased, of course, Jonathan, but I'm pleased to be joined by Graham Motion, who is represented by 2 in here. And Graham, I wanted to start with Highland Chief because I know this is a horse that was a little quirky over in Europe. He tends to run with his head a little bit higher. Do you expect him in the short field to be forward more today?
I think so. I mean, both my horses broke really poorly last time, typical Europeans, in particular Easter. This horse actually didn't break well and then got bothered, so he ended up getting shuffled back a little further than I'd like to. There's not much pace in here. I would imagine if he breaks okay, he'll be a little closer.
And Easter down to the inside. What did you learn from him after that last race?
Yeah, I mean, he made up a lot of ground in his last race. I know it was a first-level allowance race. His works in the morning have been impressive, and I think this is what he wants to do, albeit we don't know if he's Grade 1 caliber.
Well, we'll certainly find out today. Thanks for your time, Graham. Good luck.
Find out in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Greg?
Oh, Graham Motion, he's produced some big upsets on the grass on the New York circuit in the past.
And he's a trainer that has had exceptional success with Europeans coming over here. Main Sequence, where you and I covered his U.S. debut, which I want to say was in the United Nations down at Monmouth in the old days when we were down there. And, you know, he's had great numbers over the years with them. Now, they were probably horses that matched up a little better, but Highland Chief, he's okay.
And he's 16-1.
I don't think he should be.
On the board with Trevor McCarthy. We'll see where he places him in this race. Again, we got to see if he breaks well out of the gate. Here's Gufo. Let's go back to what you were talking about. Christophe Clement added blinkers to him for a 4-race stretch late last year. Took him off for his 5-year-old comeback.
And when the first 2 races the horse wins, and one of them's a grade 1, you feel like it's a smart move. But the reality is, one of the reasons Christophe Clement is a trainer that should be in the Hall of Fame, he should have got voted in this year, he did not, is because he's able to look at the choices he made and maybe make a different decision. And he said to me, because he took the blinkers off for the last race, which is a little unusual, and look at how well he ran, how professional he was. And he said to me, when I look back on it, I might have made a mistake putting the blinkers on him. Obviously, the results weren't bad, and maybe that's not the reason that he sort of went bad in his last 2 races last year. But I think it's interesting because you won't see trainers make those kind of changes that often. Sometimes they're a little stubborn. Sometimes they say, why would I take it off? He won a grade 1. But in this case, Christophe did it before the last race, and there's an argument he ran one of the best races he ever ran. And as he said to me, I might have made a mistake. And I always respect people that are able to say, I made a mistake, because the racetrack, sometimes people don't do it as much as they should. That goes for all of us.
And his comeback, maybe the best he's ever been now as a 5-year-old. We'll see. Obviously a huge test, Maggie, looming for Gufo today.
It is a huge test, but he looks fantastic out here, Greg. Now, I was kind of hoping that I'd see somebody go away from the pony, kind of somebody tip their hand, namely the 2 Grand Motion horses, say, yeah, we're going to be aggressive from the start here. Not what I've seen. Now, Gufo, he is not going to change his running tactics here, but just such a cool customer, so classy, and just so healthy overall. Now, Yabir, he obviously didn't warm up with the pony, but that's typical of European horses. They do tend to just follow the pony because that's what they do in Europe, and he's handled himself so well. He's so laid back. That's what I saw from him going back to that Jockey Club Invitational. I love what I'm seeing from him out here. I'm going to try him here again. We'll see how the pace develops, though, as that Ban, he was the one who went out early. He does tend to get a bit nervous. He has gotten a little bit more nervous out here on the racetrack. I don't think that's out of style for him. They've kind of kept him moving. They just try to keep him ticking over here so he doesn't do anything too silly. He's gotten a little bit warm as well. But again, we're dealing with a speed horse here and a horse that has a history of being just a little bit obstreperous, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. We see it a lot in Europe, Andy. Why are we not seeing it here? Yabir comes to this race and doesn't have anyone with the scratch of that 6 to chase the lone speed.
You do see it in Europe, and they call them pacemakers over there. Here we call them rabbits. Grand Motion employed a horse, Shake the Bank, that ran for Better Talk Now. A horse that has early speed, that goes out and sets a fast pace, a horse, or an honest pace, a fast pace, to help make it more fair for the closers. Now, understand something. If Yabir had a rabbit, we call him, a pace setter in here, it's going to help Gufo as well. It's not like he's giving, hurting Gufo by doing it, but it's going to help his chances. There's nothing wrong with running rabbits. It's an accepted part of horse racing. We're often surprised that trainers don't do it more often. Christophe Clement has said to me, I'm going to start running rabbits. I've had other trainers say it to me as well. And then they don't for whatever reasons. There was a famous rabbit for Strike the Gold. The Derby winner came from way back. Loach became his rabbit. He still finished second in a lot of races, but he was a good horse. But when we were talking about that, Godolphin will use pace setters in Europe. And you heard William Buick saying, worrying about the 6 scratched. And you have to wonder, because Yabir probably will see him in the Sword Dancer. We'll see him in big races here. Especially if it doesn't work out here. I'll bet you Charlie Appleby thinks, I need a pace setter for this horse. I don't want to lose with what I think is the best horse because the pace was so slow.
Yeah, especially, well, it makes it even more intriguing that they didn't do it, considering what happened in the prep race.
That's a very good point. They probably didn't care that it happened in the prep race because their eye was on the prize. They wanted to win this race, and that was a means to get them there. So maybe that's why they didn't use it. They didn't really concern themselves. But you're right. After what happened in that race, they might have wanted to say, he could be vulnerable if the pace is slow.
So with that, they obviously don't have a rabbit in this race to help the pace. There's going to be a loose horse on the lead. This man here, William Buick, does that change how he rides Yabir? Does he keep the horse closer than he usually is? Does he move earlier?
That's a great question that I can't answer. He's a great rider, a world-class great rider. There are other great riders in here as well. It's not like Europeans have a hammerlock on great riders. I think, I'm going to guess, he doesn't want to take Yabir out of his game. I think he probably feels, I'm riding the best horse in this race. I'm not going to fall 15 lengths behind. but I don't want to ride him at all to get him in the race because I don't want to take away that explosive kick. Because when you ride a horse to get in the race, he starts grinding, and he's not likely to have that explosive kick. So my guess is that he's going to let him settle into a rhythm and not look to go, but we'll see.
He's got someone, too, that he can maybe lean on a little bit in this race and see what he's doing, who knows this circuit really well, who knows how to ride it, and Joel Rosario and Gufo, who can maybe just sit behind.
Well, I think it's an interesting point you bring up. The fact that he breaks outside of Gufo does help him because he can see exactly what Gufo's doing inside of him. And one thing you know that he's going to do, he's not going to let Gufo get out of his sight. Now, they are the two slowest early horses in here. Gufo probably in front, and Joel's a pretty crafty rider. I don't think either one of them want to get caught moving too soon, but I don't think either one of them want to let the other one get away if they can help it.
Been odds on throughout in this race. The reigning turf champion, the 3 Yabir. Meanwhile, there's Easter, one of 2 long shots for Graham Motion. You can play this race with Naira Bets. Get signed up, started Stakes 200, where you can play it. Bet $200 on any of these stakes races on today's card. You get a $40 bonus as well in your Naira Bets account. You do have to opt in to take advantage of that promo. Pick 4 as well begins in this race coming up. We have the Peter Pan next. Prep for the Belmont Stakes. But there is the reigning champion, Yabir. The last time we saw him here, and that was really a race that pointed him out to everyone in that Jockey Club Derby Invitational. That turn of foot, that explosive turn of foot he showed in the stretch was something else.
I've never seen a horse swallow a field more quickly than he did.
Yabir, the reigning turf champ, multiple Grade 1 winner, Gufo going head-to-head in the first Grade 1 of the meet here in the Man of War. Let's go to John Imbrial.
They're in the gate. And they're off in the Man of War, and Yabir came out extremely slow. Yabir is the trailer here in the early going. Aban is the leader with Highland Chief on the outside, and it's a Rank Easter who is now moving up. Gufo is down at the rail, and after that slow beginning, Yabir is the trailer in 5th. They head for the clubhouse turn, and it's Aban and Highland Chief, and the two of them are right together. The opening quarter, 25-1. Easter sits behind them in 3rd, and then it's Gufo and Yabir at the back. Aban takes the field and heads for the backstretch. It's Aban in front by 3/4 of a length. Highland Chief on the outside in 2nd, with Easter next in 3rd, then Gufo and Yabir. And Yabir is about 7 or 8 lengths from the front. The half was 51-4. Aban by a half length. Highland Chief on the outside in 2nd by a length and a half. Easter runs in 3rd. It's 3 lengths. Back to Gufo and then Yabir. So no change in the order as they race midway up the backstretch. Aban continues to show the way by a half length over long shot Highland Chief. Then it's a length and a half to Easter, who has settled down now in 3rd. And then it's Gufo. Yabir is on the outside. Aban is the leader, 3/4 and 1:17-3. Aban by a half length as they head for the far turn. Highland Chief on the outside in 2nd, break of 2 to Easter in 3rd. Then it is Gufo who begins to move, and so does Breeders' Cup winner Yabir. The mile in 1:42, Highland Chief, Aban. Gufo is 3 wide. Yabir is widest of all. And Easter is down towards the rail. And the field is in the stretch now. And here comes Highland Chief now to take the lead with Easter rallying down at the rail. And Gufo coming on the outside with Yabir. There's a 16th to the finish. It is Highland Chief and Gufo and Yabir on the outside. It's going to be an upset in the Grade 1 Man of War. Highland Chief wins it at odds of 19-1.
What an upset. Highland Chief at 19-1. Graham Motion and Trevor McCarthy.
Well, unlike Yabir, who did not break, and we'll get back to that, this horse broke incredibly well. And let's give a lot of credit to Trevor McCarthy. He understood there's not going to be any pace. I'm a better horse than Aban. I'm going to put myself on the lead in this race, and he basically shadowed Aban the whole way. And the slow pace obviously helped his chances. But clearly, Gufo and Yubir had their chance to get there, and they didn't finish. Yes, the break hurt Yubir. There's no doubt about it. And when you consider he came out 2 to 3 lengths slow, and he lost by 3/4 of a length or a length, you could say it cost him the race. But he's a huge favorite. It's not supposed to. Tremendous performance. Congratulations to Graham Motion, Trevor McCarthy, and the connections of this horse.
Let's go back to the beginning and keep your eyes on post 3 and what goes wrong here with Yubir.
I mean, he just stood in the gate. He just stood in the gate. I don't really have
he was off balance.
Yeah, it's just weird. I mean, he'd never done that before. I don't know if we can show our pan shot to take a look and see just how badly he broke in the race. It just felt like he just stood there, right?
Well, he's behind the 8 ball from the get-go. And you still think with his kind of talent that he'd be able to overcome it.
Well, you know, you give 2 to 3 length head starts in races, and you're a deep closer in a slow-paced race, you're in trouble. I mean, let's look at the fractions. They came home in 35 flat for the last 3/8 of a mile.
Inquiry sign, by the way, has been posted. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
I'm out here on a very rambunctious pony aboard Highland Chief, or Trevor aboard Highland Chief. Trevor, your first Grade 1 win in this Man of War. How you feeling?
You know, it's really special, a little emotional. You know, to win it for my boss has been great. You know, I started galloping there when I was 15 years old, and you know, he taught me how to breeze horses, and really, you know, just everything about racing. And you know, him and my father have just been 2 big credits to my career, and to win my first Grade 1 for him in such a prestigious race, it means the world to me.
Oh, Trevor, I mean, I shouldn't say this, but I couldn't be happier for you. But let's talk about the moment. This horse broke so well today, and you just orchestrated the most perfect trip, tracking the pace and just slipping up the inside.
Yeah, you know, there was no pace in the race, and last time we got annihilated from the break, and being on the outside, I said I'm not going to take anything away from him and kind of let him run out of there, because really nobody else is going to go with Todd's horse. And look, I mean, the pace was kind of slow, and he was a little eager early, but he was always on the bridle for me. And when it started raining, I was kind of, you know, jumping up for joy, because he just seems to really love this good, soft ground. And, you know, turn for home, I kind of made an early move on him just to kind of get away from Yubir if he was going to come running. And listen, he was just so handy early. I just didn't want to take much out of him. He's got a little bit of a breathing issue, and that didn't seem to bother him at all today.
Now, Trevor, you made the decision to ride here full time. How much does this mean, getting this first Grade 1 in New York with your family here, and as you mentioned, somebody that has just been by your side from day one in trainer Graham Motion?
Yeah, you know, here in New York, it's not an easy place, and you know, we had a great winter meet, and you know, it's definitely a hard jockey colony here, and to get a Grade 1 against this jockey colony and here with the best trainers in the country, and some of them the world, it means the world to me.
Trevor, massive congratulations here with this horse.
Thank you so much.
As you can tell, Greg, Trevor holding back emotions for this first Grade 1 victory in the Man of War.
What a moment for this young man who went out to the West Coast, gave it a shot out there, decided to come back here to New York, and that has been just a tremendous decision. He has been riding incredible ever since he's come back.
Last time this horse ran, I texted Trevor after the race, and he said to me, this horse is going to win going long next time out. Now, I don't think he thought he was going to beat Gufo and Yubir, but he wanted to stretch him out, and he was right.
What an upset in the first Grade 1 of the meet here with Highland Chief. Let's go to Acacia.
I'm joined by Graham Motion. This time, a more fun interview, Graham, after the race. First of all, with Highland Chief, it's giving Trevor McCarthy his first Grade 1 win. How special is that for you to see this young rider achieve today?
Yeah, I actually didn't know that. That's very cool. Trevor's ridden out for me since he was 16, so that's pretty special.
Talk about the trip that your horse got today, being so forwardly placed.
Yeah, I mean, look, he gave him a very smart ride. There was not much pace in here. We just hoped he broke a little better than last time. But, you know, like I said to you earlier, going back to his class in England, he's very much competitive with these horses. So good for Trevor. That's awesome.
Now you know where he stands. In a race like this, winning a Grade 1 here in the U.S., that has to be very validating with a horse and making just his second start stateside.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go jump in the windsuit.
Congratulations. Graham Motion going to go get his picture taken, Greg.
We said before we went into this race, Graham Motion, I mean, he has a history of, and he's a tremendous trainer. He's won a lot of big ones with horses that deserve to be some of the top horses in the race, but he's produced some major upsets on the lawn here in New York.
Won the big price winner of the Manhattan a few years ago from Post 13. He's a tremendous trainer. And this is a horse that kept serious company overseas, Pile Driver, Mogul. And he got the right trip to win today. Do we think at the end of the day he rates to beat Yabir the next time they run? I'll tell you what, they meet again, there will be a pace setter for Yabir. But I do want to ask Graham a question. I am going to see him later. Which grade ones did Graham Motion think that Trevor McCarthy won at Laurel?
Yeah, didn't look at the early pick
The
five,
Preakness,
by the way.
maybe?
Or, sorry, middle pick five, $161,000. That's what happens with a turf champion getting beat. Saying goodbye to those watching on FS2. Coverage resumes on FS2 later tonight, 9 Eastern time.
You'll be here, right?
I will be long gone by then, with racing from the Meadowlands as well coming up and under the lights at Churchill Downs. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, 9 Eastern, back on FS2. What an upset. What a way to start off Grade 1 action at this Belmont meet. 19-1. Highland Chief, Graham Motion, and Trevor McCarthy, first Grade 1 win of this young man's career, with the turf champion Yabir beat in the Grade 1 Man Award.
Following C, pouring it on here in the stretch. Impressive to win the Grade 2 Vosburg. Following C,
Miles Happy has kicked it into high gear, and Miles Happy with a powerful performance wins by 2.5.
the Club champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
New for Belmont Spring, the $3 triple play pick 3. Choose the winners of the last 3 races at Belmont Park every Sunday to win big. Plus, play on NYRA Bets for a free $10 triple play bet. Go to NYRA.com/triple play for details.
Global Campaign by 2, and Global Campaign will win the Grade 1 Woodward.
It is Global Campaign holding on to the lead. Global Campaign won the Peter Pan.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
And now Eddie Delahousse asking more run from AP Indy, and the response is immediate. AP Indy headlong into the final furlong by 5. Colony Light has been left in his impressive wake. AP Indy wins with something left for the Belmont Stakes.
Trained by Neil Drysdale, AP Indy. Peter Pan winner going on to win the Belmont Stakes. We'll get the Peter Pan coming up.
I had never seen him run, and I know he ran a big race in California, but it was before simulcasting. It was a different time. And so often you hadn't seen him run, and I was here at Belmont sitting, not far from where we are right now, and seeing him for the first time, the way he carried his head, something that we've now seen for 25 or 30 years since then with all his progeny running in similar ways. I remember seeing him and thinking, is there something wrong with that horse? Is he going to fall down or something? The way he ran in such a weird manner. man, he was a good racehorse.
Added the Classic, added Horse of the Year honors as well in '92.
I mean, there's a legitimate argument that Lily T won that Derby. You know, he had to be scratched right before the race. I think he was run 4-5 to 1. He could have won the Derby. I mean, this was a very good horse.
Last Peter Pan winner to pull off the Peter Pan Belmont double tonalist for Christophe Clement back in 2014. Before that, it was AP Indy. Wow.
And Dan's Connection, of course, was the last of Woody's 5 Belmont winners and was there for that. Coastal, I think, won by 11 lengths and ran a gigantic figure. It's one of the reasons a lot of us, including myself, took a shot with him against Spectacular Bid when he beat him. Gallant Man is in there. That's quite a list of horses.
This year's group, we don't know a lot about these runners. Someone's going to separate themselves, hopefully, coming up. And maybe we'll get a couple of starters for the Belmont Stakes out of this race. 1 1/8, 1 turn in this grade 3. It seems wide open.
I think this race is as wide open can be. I think there are a lot of horses that could win. I think you could see a few horses come out of this race and do well. I also think there may be some phonies hiding in this race a little bit. I'm just not sure who they are because there's potentially some talent in this race, and I don't think there's any reason to not think we could see a Belmont starter or two coming out of this race.
Well, the favorite right now, the horse coming in from the West Coast for Richard Mandella, just the 3rd starter he sent out at Belmont in the last 21 years, and he's actually on the grounds here with the horse who dominated from the rail last time out. Richard Mandella actually thought he would do this in his debut. Didn't happen. It happened in start number 2. His debut, he's faced some older horses that look like they're potentially very good.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. You know, the part of you says, did he ship here because he couldn't get a race to fill for him and they have bigger fish to fry? It's unusual to see him do that. And the fact, and I picked him, I didn't think he'd be 2 to 1. He's going to be favored, it appears. I thought he'd be a slightly better price. The fact that Richard Mandella is here with this horse, been a long time. He hasn't won a race here since 2001.
2 to 1 favorite right now. Son of Malibu Moon. Dominant in that next out start. Now look, there's a horse who, it was a maiden win, who's now 0 for 2 behind him. He had to face Taba in his debut. Taba, the brilliant horse who suffered the first defeat of his career in the Kentucky Derby. And horse who was 3rd in that race, QB1, he ran a 55 Beyer speed figure in his next start.
Yeah, it's a little tricky looking at that race, what you're getting to, because I look through, and some of the horses you feel like that was a really good effort, and some of them you look at and you go, maybe it wasn't that good a field. And I never know what to do with them. Don't you feel like Joel Rosario is going to look to set sail with him and try to wire the field?
You would think. We'll see if he lives up to his name. He's got the rail again, as he did in that maiden win last time out when he just blitzed that group. He's a little high-strung, it would appear right now, for this ship to the East Coast. Let's head downstairs and get more on how they look from Maggie Wolfendale.
And Greg, we'll focus in on the short-priced horses here. Yes, beginning with number 1, Set Sail. He's trying to do just that here in the paddock. He's acting up a little bit. I don't know why necessarily, just kind of jumping away from his groom. So I'll keep close eye on how he continues to behave, or not so, as these preliminaries continue. But a very athletic, fine-tuned animal as far as fitness is concerned. I mean, he looks ready to go here and ready to travel the 9 furlongs, albeit kind of going back to 1 turn. So I guess, too, you want a bit of sharpness in a horse that is fast and the likeliest pace setter. Great coat to him, just dappled head to toe. Like I said, he doesn't carry much conditioning, and you always kind of wonder, though, with horses shipping, would they look a little bit more filled out if they were able to run out of their own stall? And you can definitely say that about number 2, Electability. He carries a lot of conditioning, my man, Electability. I'm still not convinced this horse wins 9 furlongs, but it's a logical stepping stone coming in off of that optional allowance win. I do think the track helped him a touch that day to kind of see it out towards the front end. Like I said, I'm not sure he wants to go much further than a mile. He's going to get the test here. I like him as an individual. This is a test, though. As we move on to number 4, We the People, who is incredibly intriguing to me. He lost his race before he ever went in the gate last time. He was so revved up heading into that tiny indoor paddock at Oaklawn on what is the biggest day of racing there. The crowd was heaving. The energy was electric. I could barely hear anything with regards to the show that day when I was out there. it set him off. And then having to go over to the infield, he got more over the top. He, blew his race out on the racetrack. Then he missed the brake slightly and had to travel 5 wide into the turn. It was over then. I watched him go by me going into that first turn. I said, oh, there goes my pick. Well, today, so far here at Belmont, shipping in for Rudy Brissett, so calm. Completely different animal this time around. And I like this horse. I was actually impressed with what I saw from him physically. He's a bit bigger than I had anticipated, but he's that true 9-furlong type of animal. I'm very intrigued. Greg, I think We the People can bounce back here.
All right, Maggie, thanks. It'd be great to see. There's so much hype about this horse. He looks so good. We the People, the 4, in the first 2 starts of his career. It was a tough go in the Arkansas Derby. Outside post 9, 4 horses decided to go to the lead, and Flavien Prat had to take back. Let's go downstairs to Acacia.
I'm pleased to be joined by Flavien Prat. Flavien, We the People lost this race before the race started last time out. What did you learn from him that day?
Well, I mean, the other day was just a bad trip. We were parked outside. I would try to get myself to drop myself inside, and from that point he was just lost. So the race was over at that point. But hopefully we can get a clean trip and clean break and get away from there.
He seems in watching his races like he can be a little bit headstrong. How do you plan to get him to settle today going the 9 furlongs?
No, he's fine. I mean, the other day there was pace and he was absolutely fine. So no, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
How do you expect it to play out for him today tactically?
Well, obviously, it seems like the 1 and the 2 could be up on the lead, but like I said, I'm going to break well and go from there.
Thanks for your time. Good luck.
Thank you.
Flavien Prat, Greg, break and go from there.
We will see what happens. I would not expect what happened last time to happen to him today. First 2 starts again of his career, they came at Oaklawn, and he was too good for the competition.
He was. And I'm not going to be surprised I picked him second. I was going to pick him on top. I sort of made a late change. He also rushed in the Arkansas Derby. He ran 3 weeks after this. So you combine that. He washed out on the racetrack. He had a ridiculous trip that no horse could possibly have won with. All those things sort of combined. Now he's had 6 weeks. Time to regather himself. Today is the day, is put up or shut up day, really for all of these horses in a way. Now, you could run second and run well in this race, but there's a lot of horses. Electability with a maiden and the allowance win. Set Sail, a big jump up off a maiden, an impressive maiden win. This horse, Complete Agenda, who broke his maiden against the track. Golden Glider met good horses. All these horses have credentials to win this race. They got to do it on the racetrack now.
You also have that horse just kind of eking on our screen. He just left it, Western River, full brother to Creator, who won the 2016 Belmont. He's 6-1 on the board for Rudolph Brissett. Post parade coming up for the Grade 3 Peter Pan, the audition for the Belmont Stakes. When we come back here on America's Day at the Races.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Back on America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us on a super Saturday here in Elmont, New York. Grade 3 Peter Pan next. Winner likely moving on to the Belmont Stakes. As we take a look at the New York Racing Association 3-year-old schedule, Peter Pan, Belmont, and then some big ones this summer still looming. Curlin, Jim Dandy, both will produce runners heading on to the Run Happy Travers.
If you're Chad Brown in this race with electability, do you have a problem if he runs well in here? Because you've already got potentially early voting, Zandon and Jack Christopher for all these races. I don't think he's ever had this kind of struggle. It's like Todd Pletcher normally has that kind of problem. They could known as Pletcher problems.
Yeah, going good right now for Chad Brown. He's called this horse a little bit of a grinder. He's put together back-to-back wins. This is his stakes debut. 9-2 on the board. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Well, Greg, right now he's been a little bit of a goofball, and that's an understatement. They have tried for 10 minutes to get the tack on this horse. Finally, I think they've just about gotten there, but they had to get the pony out. They've had to do him on the walk. This is not something I necessarily observed to this extent back at Aqueduct in those prior efforts. So just something to keep in mind. We don't love this with a horse that physically looks a bit distance challenged and now is expending that much more energy trying the 9 furlongs for the first time.
And you see, Chad Brown still working on that saddle to get it adjusted and on electability. Here is a look at what he's done on the racetrack. Again, back-to-back wins at Aqueduct.
He's been good. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. They tried him in the turf in his debut. He did not run a step.
He looked beat here, didn't he?
He did look beat. I mean, I think the track was, in some ways, in his favor. It was favoring horses on the inside, but he did a lot of hard work. That was a very honest pace, and the winner was very strongly bet, who came back to duplicate his Beyer figure in his next start, came to him and looked like he would roll on by, and he dug in, and you have to like that fight in him. And before he debuted this year, Chad Brown said he had been training well leading up to it. He's run very well in those 2 races. The competition is getting tougher. I don't know what that kind of not wanting to be saddled means. Maybe he's got a lot of fight in him, Greg.
Well, in that race we showed you, too, you love the fact he battled back. And to Andy's point, too, yeah, he did all the dirty work early, battling with a horse named Unbridled Power, and still able to finish like that and win. That's the man who's going to hop aboard today, Irad Ortiz Jr. JK, your thoughts on electability?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think electability is one of the horses that you want in this race. The horse seems to be improving. But I wouldn't say it's a great thing to see him acting up at this point. We'll see. Obviously, most of Chad's horses are well schooled, so maybe it was just a little bit of something he wasn't liking. Maybe he doesn't like the rain. I feel him for that as well. I think the 5 Golden Glider is kind of interesting. This is a horse that ran well enough, I thought, in the Bluegrass, was attending that pace at a big price, and then happened to get run down by a horse that I absolutely loved in the Kentucky Derby and Zandon. So if you look at Golden Glider's style, there is the ability to stay close. This horse has made a big run from out of it in the Tampa Bay Derby when Classic Causeway got loose. So I'm just kind of hopeful that maybe this horse is just kind of he's starting to figure it out. He's got enough speed figures that put him into contention. A lot of these horses look very similar from a number standpoint. And so I thought the 5 Golden Glider, who'd be a little bit forgotten, and I wanted to see if that horse would maybe kind of turn the corner a little bit. And then the 1 Set Sail. So a horse that broke the maiden out in California for Richard Mandela, and it seems they decided just to kind of take their time, take a deep breath. Won back March 27th, take a deep breath. The horse was back on the track April 9th, April 17th got to work, the 25th, May 7th. So it just feels like maybe this horse is progressing, has some early speed from the inside, so should be able to work out a trip. And I would say that you would call this maybe a rider upgrade to Joel Rosario. So interested to see how Set Sail runs from the inside if they pop away from there and find the front end.
That has got to be the game plan, you think, as he showed that speed last time out from the rail and wired a field by 7+ lengths. Can he do it again here? We will find out under Joel Rosario. Triple play pick 3, new low takeout $3 pick 3 on the final 3 races on the Belmont card every Sunday. Learn more at NYRA.com/triple play to get involved.
That's tomorrow.
We talked about this race being so wide open coming in. Are you surprised there is a clear-cut favorite here?
Well, they're both the 1 and
maybe
4
not,
or
right?
5 to 2. No, I'm not surprised the 1, 2, and 4 are similar prices in this race. It's so hard for me to guess the betting. I'd be a terrible morning line maker, and it seems like sometimes in this race, one of the horses you think will get bet is a much higher price than you would expect, and vice versa, one is lower. I mean, I think you look at it. The only one to me that's a massive overlay is the 3, Complete Agenda. He is too slow to win based on his races. But last time out, he beat the bias. It was a big inside track that day. Speed did very well, and he closed outside to win. So I don't want to completely dismiss him, and it is Todd Pletcher, so he could take another move forward. At 14-1, I'm going to be forced to bet a couple of dollars on him, even though I'm not sure he's good enough to win.
He also was second to a horse who hit the board and at least was somewhat of a factor. And it was a huge price in the Kentucky Derby, Pioneer Medina, but at least showed a little bit of ability at the fairgrounds in his preps.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to use a horse that was against the track and won. You don't see horses do that very often.
Here's Joel Rosario, Richard Mandella, dominant maiden win start number 2 out at Santa Anita.
He is my top choice in this race. I'm hoping he can wire the field, but it's a very, very competitive, tough race, and I cannot say that I'm overly confident in anyone that I like in here.
Irad Ortiz Jr. taking over for the first time on electability, trying to make it 3 in a row.
Well, if he runs a big race today, we'll say we want him to be obstreperous in the paddock, right?
Yeah. 14-1 Complete Agenda for Todd Pletcher.
I think it's a fair, very more than fair price on a horse that was against the track in his last race to win.
Is it back to the good, We the People, today after that flop in the Arkansas Derby?
That's really the big question, and that's what his connections want to find out. Is he as good as he showed at Oaklawn, or was he sort of a flash in the pan down there?
Golden Glider, he was trying to get into the Derby. 3 Derby preps, didn't work out.
I think his last race dresses him up. Personally, he did lose to good horses, but in a way, what was behind him, and he had the run of the race.
Full brother here to, again, the 2016 Belmont winner, Creator.
Is he going to get enough pace to close into as he turned the corner? He ran a big figure last time. You don't want to dismiss him.
That was Western River the 6. Here's Cook Creek, the only stakes winner in the field.
Yeah, and listen, he's run okay, and maybe he's grown up since his races, but he's going to have to improve.
Yeah, it was a minor stake at Delaware. And State Planning on the outside. He's 31-1. Could Trevor McCarthy possibly pull off another huge upset?
This would be one of the most incredible rider odds graded stakes double you've ever seen.
New York bred, who will say this, he took a huge move forward in his last start.
He did, but he's going to turn around and say, where's Pineapple Man?
Very different group he's going against today. Let's head downstairs to Acacia.
Very pleased to be joined by trainer Richard Mandella, who sends out Set Sail from the inside. We did see him a little spunky back in the paddock. Is that typical for this colt?
No, it's not. That's the first thing he's done wrong. Something scared him in there, and it spooked him a little bit, but I don't think it's a problem.
I know he's been at Belmont for a couple days. I saw him paddock school yesterday. How have you seen him settle in and do after shipping cross country?
Everything's gone really well. We just hope it continues that way.
He was so impressive last time out. What is it about the Peter Pan that you think is the right suitable next race for him?
Well, we didn't have a 2-turn dirt race in California, and I thought it was time to do something.
Do you think this could potentially be a step onto the Belmont Stakes for him?
We'll just try Peter Pan first.
Love it. Thanks for your time. Best of luck.
I don't want my nose to grow.
I appreciate that. As we'll head out trackside and get some more insight from Maggie Wolfendale on horseback.
Okay, so they're heading straight to the gate here because of that delay caused by electability. Naughty. Look, Irad Ortiz did the right thing. He took this horse away from the pony, gave him a big warm-up. He's still on his toes, though, out here. I love what I'm seeing from both Rudy Brissett horses. Want to talk about Western River, a little bit of a sentimental horse for Rudy and his wife, Brooke. Named in honor of her father who passed away last year, kind of her right-hand man, if you will, in that he looked after their child in the mornings when they were both working with the horses, and this horse got the job done. And as Greg has mentioned, this guy, full brother to Creator, looks so much like him. The further this horse gets to travel, the better. Now, he RNA'd in the Keeneland Horses of Racing Age sale for $245,000, but Brooke told me that owners that they already had in the barn took a piece of him. He got to stay with them, and they're excited with what they see. And both of these horses have been ridden by Rudy in the morning, and he's walked them through the paddock and schooled them endlessly. So I think that's what has led to much more calmer duo this time around, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. So We the People, the 4-horse, the 6 Western River, both for Rudy Brissett. We'll see if one, maybe both of these horses can make a big impact in the race. Acacia and Maggie going with We the People.
I'm not knocking any picks here. I'm not going to be surprised by anything. I picked the one. I do think he's an underlay at 2-1. If I knew these odds, I don't know what I would have done. To be honest with you, I might have picked the 3. 16 to 1's an overlay on him. If you want a long shot to throw in, take a shot with that guy.
Grade 3 Peter Pan. Prep for the Belmont Stakes. Third and final leg of the Triple Crown here on June 11th. Rich Strike, Kentucky Derby winner, will be among those waiting to face who moves on to that one from here. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial, the call.
Waiting for We the People and State Planning. Set for the start of the 9th race, the Peter Pan. And they're off. That was an awkward start for number 6, Western River, and he's at the back of the pack. We the People is out for the early lead with Electability down on the inside, and Cook Creek is next in 3rd, followed by Set Sail in 4th. On the outside is Golden Glider in 5th. Then it's a 4.5 length break back to Western River, who has moved up a couple of spots. The 2 trailers are State Planning and Complete Agenda. The opening quarter mile over the good and sealed track, 23 3/5 seconds as they race up the Belmont backstretch with We the People in front by 2. Electability is in 2nd, and down on the inside is Set Sail, who is gaining some ground now from 3rd. On the outside, Cook Creek runs in 4th, followed by Golden Glider in 5th. Another 2 lengths to Western River and another 3 back to Complete Agenda, and then State Planning. Half mile, 47-1. It is We the People setting the pace, showing the way, leading here by a length and a half. Electability runs in 2nd. Down on the inside is Set Sail, and the outside long shot, Cook Creek. And then comes Golden Glider in 5th, about 4 lengths from the front. It is still We the People who has the lead here. 3/4 and 1:11-1. It's We the People in front, coming to the quarter pole. Electability, Cook Creek, Set Sail is down on the inside. Then Western River and Golden Glider. It is We the People, the one to catch into the stretch. We the People has opened up here. We the People pouring it on. We the People has built a 7-length lead. It is We the People in a terrific performance in the Grade 3 Peter Pan. We the People, wire to wire. And it's a photo for second between Golden Glider and Electability, then Western River.
We the People opens up on this group and takes the Grade 3 Peter Pan under Flavien Prat for Rudolph Brissett.
And one of the things I think Flavien Prat may change around here is the lack of aggression. He had a plan. Now, obviously, Set Sail broke in, and that prevented him getting the lead. But they were happy to sort of cede the lead with the number 2 Electability, who has a lot of speed. And I'm not saying Electability would have beaten him, but once this horse got to the front and was able to set very moderate fractions on this sealed track, it was basically over. And you knew when they turned for home, when Electability couldn't stay with him coming to the top of the stretch, this race was over. An impressive win by him, and they're going to have to consider running him in the Belmont Stakes.
Goes off at 5-2 in here. Second choice on the board, but this was just dominant. But this race, again, changed very early on. We'll go back to the start in a moment when Set Sail was nowhere near the front.
You always concerned when you break inside in these one-turn races, you could always break inside. Did that, and Set Sail lost any chance, whatever chance he may have had.
So We the People, a statement victory in the Peter Pan. Let's go to Maggie.
Here with Flavien Prat. And Flavien, you just said to me, take no prisoners was the game plan this time around.
Yeah, the other day we had an outside draw with, I thought before the race would be good. Turns out everybody was going, so I got park wide. I tried to drop myself in, and from that point on, then after that it was done. So today broke well. I just let him run out of there, and I was in cruise control the whole way.
He seems to relish being on the front end, Flavien. He kicked away from this field, and those weren't slow fractions you were getting away with.
No, but that's the way he was really happy on the front end. He was traveling super. I was really waiting for my call, so that was great. And yeah, then I mean, when I squeeze him, turning for him, he responds really well.
Obviously, Flavien, it's the trainer and connections call here, but this does serve as a classic local prep for the Belmont. Can he get a mile and a half?
Well, I mean, you don't know until you run it. I mean, he got out good today, but until you run it, it's hard to tell.
Well, massive congratulations with this horse.
Thank you.
We the People. He formed a perfect union with Flavien Prat.
This is the horse most people thought he was off the first 2 starts of his career before that Arkansas Derby.
No question. I mean, he obviously had the run of the race in here, but he won so impressively. He was much the best in this race. I don't think it was a particularly fast pace. I think it was an honest but not particularly strong pace. He's the best horse, and this is something about Flavien Prat. He's not afraid to put the best horses on the front end and take his chances. And I think around here, a lot of times riders are a little bit they lack some confidence to be aggressive. He's going to change that because either they're going to adapt to his riding style or he's going to be dominating here.
You never know at a mile and a half, obviously,
right.
what anyone's going to do. But exciting to have a horse potentially, if he does decide to go, to have another major player who many thought could be very good even before the Kentucky Derby. He didn't make it there, but now it looks like he's living up to his potential.
And this race will come up a strong number. Now, when you get a wet track and you get a track that's sealed, I don't think there's a ton of moisture in the track, but it is wet and it's sealed, that can produce these kind of sort of exaggerated performances, bigger speed figures you might expect. But he's going to get a lot of hype off this race, and I'm not saying he can't win it, but he did, and I'm not knocking him. He was good today and dominant and much the best, but he did do it under ideal circumstances.
Son of Constitution for Rudolph Brissett, Windstar Farm, Commonwealth, and Sienna Farm under Flavien Prat. We the People. Grade 3 Peter Pan winner. Will he move on to the Belmont Stakes on June 11th? We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, Christophe Clement and Plum Ali. She came back with a big upset and the Plenty of Grace. Could she win 3 in a row? We'll find out next.
The ultimate accolade for a racehorse is to be named Horse of the Year. To be enshrined to the Hall of Fame is to achieve immortality. As a stallion, genetic immortality is defined in 2 words: breed shaper, plain and simple. 2-time Horse of the Year and Hall of Fame inductee, Curlin, is just that. Breed shaper, Curlin, the classic sire.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program because New York breds start with an advantage. New York breds run for serious green at Belmont and Saratoga. New York bred maidens run for up to $75,000 and allowance horses for up to $85,000. And serious New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race in open company. So get back with the program. Seriously.
The return of Sunday Silence.
Sunday Silence surges to the front. It's Yoshida in front. Yoshida takes charge at the top of the stretch, and Yoshida wins the Turf Classic.
Here comes Yoshida, storming home in the center with Gunnevera. Yoshida! Yoshida has won the one word.
The perfect balance. Yoshida.
Stay fabulous. Resorts World.
We're back at America's Day at the Races. We just saw a horse who might be heading to the Belmont Stakes. We the People with a dominant win of the Peter Pan. Get your tickets now. I know a group of people who are online right now purchasing these tickets. BelmontStakes.com, where you can get your tickets to the third and final leg of the Triple Crown, the Test of the Champion. Capped at $50,000 this year, and it will sell out, so be part of the action.
I agree. And an amazing day of racing. It's not just the Belmont. It's Latrushka. It's Flightline and Speaker's Corner in the Met Mile. It's so much.
Flavien Prat, high fives all around, even for the little one there. What a performance here on We the People. He was aggressive. It paid off. And We the People back to what we saw in the first two starts of his career from him. Let's head downstairs to Acacia.
Very happy to be joined by winning trainer Rodolphe Brisset. As Rudy, you just said to me, you knew how good this horse really was. How validating is it to see that come to fruition on the track today?
Well, he's been a project from day one, and you know, we've been saying over and over how difficult he can be. But he didn't mature a lot the past couple of weeks, and today I think we saw something pretty nice. Let's see how he come out now.
Do you think the Belmont Stakes could potentially be in his future after this performance?
I mean, the first thing Flavien told me, he got up out okay, he said. So I guess that's a good thing. I mean, of course we gotta take a look at it. You know, we gotta see how he come out. We gotta come up with a plan, and then weeks by weeks, and obviously that will be the goal.
I'm sure last time in the Arkansas Derby, frustration afterwards, the schooling, as you mentioned, the time put in. I mean, talk about just what you've done with this horse to get him to this point.
Oh, you won't have enough airtime to me to explain. No, I mean, he's just one of those horses. He's a little bit unconfident and like a lot of emotion you can see in his eye, and you just have to read him a little bit more than you read some of them. I'm lucky enough I get on him every day, and I really like I mean, he's a part of the team, the horse, and then you know we just adapt to him. You know, Arkansas was. We were not expecting everybody to go for 22 and to go for the lead like this, and Flavien did the right thing to try to take him back. The horse you could see, just didn't understand why taking back. And since he's been back in Kinland, and the horse really mature, and today he ran like it.
He certainly did. What a performance. Congratulations, Rudy.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Horsemanship on display with this impressive Peter Pan win, Greg.
Rodolphe Brisset, so he's got a horse should Connections decide to move on that we're going to see in the Triple Crown in that third and final leg here. Returned $7.90 for the Win Golden Glider electability, who just lost second of the last jump of the race.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone ran that badly behind him, and I think the margin a bit exaggerated because of the racetrack, but make no mistake, it's hard to imagine anybody besides the winner going to the Belmont Stakes on that performance.
Cross-country pick 5, one leg remains. Grade 3 Bogey will close it out. You have a $40 horse in there with a reigning champion who got beat.
Should we take a look at the will pays and see if they're there, and we can let you know if what it's paying with a favorite? It's paying $1,800 for 50 cents with the 1.
Okay, and the 1 is part of a duo for Chad Brown that's going to try and deliver him yet another Grade 3 Bogey win. Rougier, Flavien Prat will ride from that inside post. Second start here in the States after being privately purchased.
Yeah, and they purchased this horse for a little over $3 million. Owner Peter Brandt, who also has the number 2, Lamista in here, bought him with Michael Tabor, associated with Coolmore as well. Now, keep in mind, she's got an enormous amount of residual value as a broodmare. I don't know how to guess it, but I'm guessing she has at least $1.5 million to $2 million as a broodmare. She won the Prix de l'Opera last year at Longchamp, which is sort of the big filly race on the ARC card. It's one of the more prestigious races they run for that group in Europe. So she has enormous value. She also has enormous talent. You could say she won the Prix de l'Opera at 1.25 miles, but if arguably some of the better races she ran throughout her career were shorter races. Mile 16th, not supposed to be a problem.
All right, short price right now. We'll see how she fares coming up. The stablemates going at each other. Earlier on in the card, we had some stakes races as well. Very exciting, including the return of Bella Sophia, test winner, Gallant Bloom winner from last year. She got a test in her comeback.
She did, and Flavien Prat gave a terrific ride to the runner-up, Franks Roquette, in here, and I think a lot of us thought Franks Roquette's going to win. Now, Franks Roquette's will to win may not be what it once was, but you have to give a lot of credit to Bella Sophia. She was stalked. She pounced. This horse, who's a very good racehorse, came to her in her first start off a layoff. She was very game down the stretch. That was an exciting race.
It was, and look, she's a big-time filly. Very good one for Rudy Rodriguez. Grade 1 winner, obviously, of the prestigious test. Good to see our stars in whatever division it is come back and stay on that path to be very, very good.
No question about it. And she has her eye on the prize, which is the Grade 1 ballerina at Saratoga. How she gets there, where she runs, we don't know. We'll see her in New York, I'm sure. And then she wants to get to the Breeders' Cup if all goes well.
And there is Rudy Rodriguez with his star filly. Meanwhile, the boys turn Grade 3 Run Happy, and this horse has been such a great story. 8-year-old drafted. His toboggan was just jaw-dropping in the mud at Aqueduct, and now this performance.
A drafted is just a different kind of racehorse now. He's gotten together. He's a horse that has never gotten a fast pace to run at, ever. He's always closing at a slow pace. It was a very moderate relative pace, a different racetrack we were dealing with than the one we have now. One thing about the horse in front, Chateau, he's like his own rabbit. He manages to drill himself into the ground. I once said to Rob Atras before a race visit, I said, he's a horse that you're not walking the winner's circle, even if he's up 5 at the 16th pole, because he's given up some big leads, talented, but drafted was best today. Very nice horse, and Jose Ortiz fits this horse like a glove.
Yeah, it's been Ortiz aboard for these last 2 victories, and there's no question. I mean, he is in just a different realm as a horse. Now as an 8-year-old. And it's fun
nice
to watch.
It's really cool. You don't see a lot of 8-year-olds doing this well, and it's nice to see his trainer, David Duggan, who's a very good trainer, just doesn't get that many opportunities. And he's a guy you need to sort of pay attention to, because he does a very, I mean, we say that a lot, but I'm a big David Duggan fan.
Well, Chad Brown, he's had a lot of success in most turf races on this circuit, but this is one of them. Grade 3 Beaugay. He's going to have 2 shots to win another one with this even money favorite, Rougier and La Mista next door. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
We'll start with Rougier as she comes in off of the layoff dating back to the Breeders' Cup, but her first start for trainer Chad Brown. Obviously, first time laying eyes on her here in the paddock. But I like what I see, and I definitely prefer her over her stablemate. As Andy said, she's versatile when it comes to distances. I don't see any problem with her turning back a bit here to the mile and a 16th. She's well conditioned, she's fit, great energy, ticking every single box that you'd want a horse of her caliber coming in off of a layoff to have. Now, her stablemate, La Mista, I'll be honest, I didn't like her the only time I'd seen her previously, which was in the Grade 1 Diana. She didn't run that well that day. She's just a little bit awkwardly put together. She comes in here fit enough, but she is one who, too, carries a bit of weight. I like less ground for her. I think that suits her, but Rougier just looks far better than she does, but we'll see how they perform here together. But a little interested in the horse who is second off the bench. We saw High Opinion get that somewhat, a lot of people questioned it, the 6 furlong prep heading into here, but maybe there was a method to Tony Detro's, I don't want to say madness, but his plan. And I like that for her. I think it did exactly what he wanted. It tucked her up. She was carrying a bit of extra flesh going back to that April 16th effort, and I like it too because I think she's okay when she can lay a little bit closer. So maybe the 6 furlongs puts her in a more tactical spot and definitely did what it needed to from the fitness perspective, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. We got 2 4-time winners of this race with entrants lining up, both Christophe Clement and Chad Brown. Chad Brown, of course, will have 2 in the race, including the 4-5 favorite in Rougier. Grade 3, Beaugay is next.
Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions, proudly standing the ultra-fast, multiple stakes winning son of Uncle Mo, King for a Day, the only horse to defeat 2019 3-year-old champion Maximum Security.
Well, King for a Day was basically a clone of Uncle Mo. I mean, good speed, the ability to carry it over distance of ground, real professional horse and a really cool horse to train.
Sire maker extraordinaire Uncle Mo, represented in New York by King for a Day. Visit ihdvstallions.com to book your mare today.
Back on America's Day at the Races. Program brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Grade 3, Beau Gay next on what has been a sensational Saturday here in Elmont, New York. And likely, or I could say potentially, seeing another superstar for Chad Brown here with Rougir.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is a starting point this year. And she doesn't have much speed, and we're on the inner turf course. This is the Prix de l'Opera. This is that kind of cavalry charge you see at that very long stretch down at Longchamp. And she gets there right at the wire. That's her on the far outside. There's the yellow with the blue sleeves. I believe she's the one outside of her in yellow. Yeah, she's going to get there. How strong were the 3-year-old fillies in France last year? Maybe there have been some better crops, but they're still probably better than our horses. And it's interesting when you look at La Mista, the other runner in here. La Mista had nowhere near the kind of form coming in this race last year as Rougir did. Rougir is a world-class horse, and you see those silks. Those are Michael Tabor silks, part owner with Peter Brandt. You'll see Peter's silks on La Mista. And look at how well La Mista ran this race last year. Now, she didn't duplicate it the rest of the year. Can she get back in the air? And she'll be able to get the jump on her stablemate.
4 to 5, Flavien Prat tasked with riding a super talented Group 1 winner here in the debut for the Chad Brown barn. Post parade for the Beau Gay when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
How does horse racing support New York's economy? It's responsible for 19,000 jobs and more than $3 billion in annual statewide economic impact. These good-paying jobs support working families across the state and sustain thousands of small businesses both on and off the track. Horse racing in New York means jobs and opportunities now and in the future. We are New York horse racing.
Pouring it on here in the stretch. Impressive to win the Grade 2 Vosburg. Following C.
Smile Happy has kicked it into high gear. And Smile Happy with a powerful performance wins by 2.5.
The Club champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back on America's Day at the Races, Grade 3 Beau Gay up next. Here's our post parade and the odds-on favorite, Rougir.
It's a very, very talented filly. This is a stepping stone likely to the Grade 1 New York on Belmont Stakes weekend, but she is the horse to beat. But awfully low at 3 to 5, given her lack of pace.
Her stablemate right next door, who, again, was in this race last year. It was her state's debut. La Mista, she missed by a half length.
I read Ortiz, who rides her again today, gave her a brilliant ride that day, and she overcame a very slow pace set by the talented Harvey's Little Goyle. Can she get back to that effort? She didn't repeat it.
Stolen Holiday does some of her best work on the front end.
She'll probably try to steal this race. She's not good enough to beat him on paper, but she's not untalented, and she'll try to wire the field.
Plum Ali for Christophe Clement. She won her comeback race as a 4-year-old in a Plenty of Grace beating Technical Analysis.
And if Javier Castellano is an aggressor with Stolen Holiday, then Manny Franco will be. She'll be at worst sitting second. Being forward helps, and beating a horse like Technical Analysis takes a good effort.
New York bred who just runs so good nearly every time out. Is there a big race with her name on it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know if she can get back that good form last year. I wonder if she'll be better with less distance.
High Opinion Anthony Dutrow sends out with Eric Cancel.
High Opinion is a very talented racehorse and can be a little more forward, and I won't be surprised if she gets at least some kind of piece.
And our flash drive, 20-1 from the outside post for Marcassi.
She would have to run better than she's ever run before to be effective here.
Group 3 winner at Woodbine. 2 minutes to post here in the Grade 3 Beaugay. Let's go to Acacia.
Here with owner Michael Dubb, who's represented by Plum Ali now. And Michael, I know that she had been a little bit of a frustrating filly last year. Came back with a big win last time out to kick off her season. What have you seen from that and coming into deeper waters today?
Well, actually, it was a frustrating year last year. It would be one thing after another, bad trip, bad break, stuck in traffic. But she ended the year with a front-running win, went wire to wire, which was really nice to see. And then she came back this year, and she won a stake race coming from off the pace. So the good news about her is she's tractable. If there's no pace, maybe she goes. If there is pace, she can take back. So she looks great, but these are very deep waters.
Seems like Manny Franco suits her really well, too, in being able to kind of put her up in the game a little bit more and in the clear.
Yeah, Manny's riding with a lot of confidence, and he knows her quite well, and I think his sense, his clock, will dictate where the horse is in the race.
Wishing you the best. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Let's learn a little bit more about these horses. Jonathan Kinchin, what do you make of the Beaugay field?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the one Rozier. And here's the reason, right? This is a horse, obviously, who's extremely talented. If you win a Grade 1 in France and then switch to one of the hottest and best trainers in the country, what else am I supposed to do here, right? This is a talented racehorse who's facing horses that have not won at a Grade 1. She'll obviously handle a little cut in the ground with the rain, the light rain that we've had. I'm not worried about the layoff. Chad's horses in his career, 27% first time off a layoff. And like I mentioned earlier, who's hotter in the country right now than Chad Brown? And the answer is no one. Of any trainer who's made at least 72 starts, no one has a higher percentage than Chad Brown this year. And Chad's got about 250. I think Rozier is going to be extremely hard to beat. If she doesn't win, I think it'll be the 2 Lamista. But I'm also a little bit concerned, I got to be honest, if the 3 Stolen Holiday happens to get loose, and hopefully Maggie can give me a little bit of insight on the 3 Stolen Holiday.
My pets. I've always liked Stolen Holiday. She's just such a robust filly. That's how I like my girls built. You know, they carry their conditioning. And, you know, I like what I'm seeing from her today. And if she gets brave out in the front end, who knows? We'll see what a horse like High Opinion chooses to do here. But she's looking great. And I'd be a little scared of her here to maybe pull off that mild upset, or at least to use her protectively underneath. I did see both of the Chad Brown horses, Rozier and Lamista, the 1 and 2 in here, receive solo warm-ups. We've gotten abbreviated post parades because I think the weather and then a little bit of a hold-up in the paddock in the last race. So at least you know that these 2 fillies aren't going to be breaking flat-footed after the warm-ups they got. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. Loading up, and they break a little strange here on this inner turf at a mile and a 16th, right on that turn. Rozier 3-5. Is this a coming out party we're about to see?
Well, she's very good. I mean, she's already, you know, whether or not what she does in America, I think there's too big a gap between her and Lamista. And I don't think Lamista should be the same price as Plum Ali. I think Lamista should be, I think the odds should be about 4 to 5 to even money and 3 to 1 here. So frankly, I think the 2 is an overlay, and at those odds, I would prefer the 2. But Rozier's the one to beat.
Group 1 winner in France, trying to get a Grade 3 here in the debut with Chad Brown. Rozier from the rail. Let's go upstairs to John Imbrial.
Set for the start. And the rough. Lamista and Plum Ali with Stolen Holiday. Right there, and on the outside moving up, High Opinion and Our Flash Drive. Plum Ali is the leader here. High Opinion runs in second. Our Flash Drive up on the outside in third. Stolen Holiday runs in fourth. Lamista shuffle back to fifth now, then Runaway Rumor. And the odds-on favorite, Rozier, will be the early trailer in seventh. They've straightened away now and are heading up the backstretch with Plum Ali in front by a neck. High Opinion runs second, and on the outside is Big Long Shot, Our Flash Drive. Then comes Stolen Holiday, who's down towards the rail, followed by Runaway Rumor, Lamista, and Rougier. Midway up the backstretch with Plum Alley holding on to the narrow lead over High Opinion. Just in behind is Stolen Holiday, who's racing in third. Alongside is Our Flash Drive. Runaway Rumor runs in fifth. Rougier has moved to the outside now and is in sixth. Stablemate Lamista down at the rail. The field is going around the far turn. Plum Alley, High Opinion. They continue to race 1-2 with Our Flash Drive in third, Stolen Holiday, and now Rougier, and she makes her move on the outside, getting closer. Lamista at the rail and Runaway Rumor. Off the turn and into the stretch. It's High Opinion, Our Flash Drive. Plum Alley continues to battle on. Rougier is out in the middle of the course and coming on now. Here comes Rougier up to challenge Our Flash Drive. Here is Rougier now to take over the lead. It is Rougier, and she will deliver here, coming from off the pace under Flavien Prat.
Rougier kicks in the stretch and shows us why she was a Group 1 winner in France as she takes the Grade 3 Beaugay.
And she's obviously a world-class filly. And there's some nice horses in here. And I think it was an excellent effort by the runner-up in this race, the number 7, who I believe held second, Our Flash Drive. But Rougier's in a different category, a different class in these horses. I also love the ride that Flavien Prat gave. And I don't want to keep doing this and act like it's a broken record. But see how he got positioned with this horse. She could have been farther back. He was actually not in last. He got her. I know he was a little wide, but I'm riding the best horse. I'm not losing this race because I get into trouble, I get locked in. He said, I'm the best horse. I'm getting the outside. I'm not going to worry about saving ground. I'm going to lose a little ground, but I'm not going to lose because I got blocked or there was no pace. And I just love the fact that Prat is getting worse in the race. We got a lot of great riders here, but I like his aggressiveness, and I think it's a welcome addition to the colony.
Strongest jockey colony in the country. And now you bring in someone of his caliber to make it even that much stronger. Just incredible. He's going to get a lot of choice mounts. And he gets one here for Chad Brown with Rougier. And Chad Brown has to be real happy what he saw in the debut for his barn here with his filly.
Yeah, and I don't think Lamista ran that badly, frankly, given the dynamics of the race. But this is the one that matters. And I imagine we'll see this one in the Branch Silks the next time she runs, because they'll probably switch back and forth. But maybe it's good luck to stay in those Michael Tabor Silks.
Let's go to Maggie.
I mean, I feel like this is deja vu. I think I talked to Flavien more last year when he shipped in to ride in these horseback interviews. And we're at it again, Flavien. Talk about what you did with this filly, because she could have been much further away from the pace than what you had her today.
Yeah, well, she broke okay. Then with the one hole, he got forced to be a little further back than I want. Get the chance to get myself outside, covered up, down the backside, which helped me a lot. Then I had horses that, bring me really well to the...
Come, Mama. You know what, Flavien? I'm going to go on the other side of you, Pepe. I'll go on the other side. Come here, honey. There you go. I think that's a little bit more natural for these horses to be like this. Sorry, go ahead. You describing your trip.
I end up behind good horses, and when I tip her out, she responded really well. Obviously, she had a good form in France. She won on soft going, so I thought it would be good today.
And we see you're covered, speckled a bit in the turf. What is the going out there?
Beginning of the day was pretty fast, actually, but it's getting a little softer now.
Flavien, you bringing your tack here from the West Coast. We see you consistently just a bit more aggressive than the guys that we have been riding here for years. Is that something you're hoping to kind of keep on the hush and use as your best weapon?
I don't know, to be honest. I just try to, ride my race, obviously, and do the best for myself and the horse. So obviously, I'm on good horses, so it's a lot more helpful.
Yeah, well, you're earning those mounts as well. Congratulations here with Rougier.
Thank you.
Flavien Prat just doing his best with Rougier, and Acacia is up, standing by with Peter Brandt, who I'm sure is very happy with the ride too.
Absolutely, Maggie, and understandably so. Peter, Maggie just mentioned the ride by Flavien Prat to put Rougier in the right position, and she just exploded when given the call.
Well, he's a master. He's a great rider, and And he put her in the right place, and she's been training really well. Chad really likes her here, and we're delighted to have her. Delighted for Mr. Tabor, and it's great to go into these races coming up with her. And I'm very proud of her. She ran really well.
You've, of course, had a lot of success racing in Europe and in the breeding game as well. This is a filly, winner of the Prix de l'Opera, a very prestigious race, and looks like the sky's the limit here in the U.S. That has to make you excited, too, for her value as a potential broodmare.
Well, we always look to race these horses, and so they have to prove it on the racetrack, but she's got everything going for her, and hopefully we'll send her to a great stallion, and hopefully she'll have some nice foals. But as you know, you have to make it through all that. It's very difficult, and I just am very happy to have her.
Indeed, but off to a good start in 2022. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Greg?
Well, we talked about this filly being a private purchase. She was expensive, and I would think before she moves off to that second career, they have their eyes on some grade ones here in the States.
I think we'll see her in New York the day before Belmont Stakes. A reason for you to not just come Belmont Stakes Day, but the day before. And one thing about Peter Brandt, he buys these horses to race them. And race them he does, and we appreciate it.
With an odds-on favorite ending it and beginning this cross-country Pick 5, it still pays almost $2,000.
Can I do the math? $12, $240, $1,000, $1,600. It paid more than 4 times the parlay, Greg. All you needed was the one crazy long shot.
Incredible. That's going to do it for our show. More coverage coming up. SNY back next Saturday. 4 Eastern start time, 4 to 6:30. Of course, coverage late tonight over on FS2. But SNY, we'll see you next Saturday, 4 Eastern. What a day. Hope you enjoyed it in the Man of War. First grade 1 of the meet and a monster upset. Highland Chief, first grade 1 win of young Trevor McCarthy's career, teaming up with Graham Motion. We the People, many thought he was a Kentucky Derby contender, and then he flopped in the Arkansas Derby. Back to the horse people believed he was. Could be onto the Belmont Stakes, and the Beaugay Rougier does not disappoint, debuting for Chad Brown.